Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. One Piece, I'm undercover in the Navy. Chapter 41 Solution, Shirking Responsibility. Back on his warship, Yan nodded to Mahler and hurried back to his office. The phone on the desk was ringing non-stop. Put the phone bug on your desk, put a picture of him in front of you, answer the call and leave quickly. After the call was connected, an angry voice came, Yan, you bastard, you really don't care about anything. If there is anything wrong with my son, I will definitely kill you. And that loser Rob Lookie, what does he do for food? The Judiciary Island guarded by you and Rob Lookie was actually breached by a straw hat boy. Are you useless? Are you trash? Just because of your trash, my son will now be tried by CP. Spangdane's angry voice has reached the point where he can create sonic weapons. Yan shrugged, expressing his helplessness. How can this be done? Now that these things have happened, just face them calmly. He doesn't care. Spangdane cursed until he was out of breath and then stopped. Yan, tell me how to explain to the superiors now. After Spangdane gradually calmed down, he spoke helplessly. He really doesn't know how to explain it now. The entire Judiciary Island was destroyed. Put it to General Aokiji. Anyway, the golden phone bug belongs to him. Yan replied casually. Cause some trouble for Ching Pheasant. When Spangdane heard this, his anger resurfaced. Go away and pass the blame to Ching Pheasant. Then who will dare to borrow the golden phone bug from now on? That's offending 3 generals at the same time. Yan shrugged and rolled his eyes, then you can pass the blame to Rob Lookie and me. Just say that our resistance was lax or something like that. Spangdane hesitated. He really wanted to do this, but he couldn't. After all, these people involved were at a high level, and Yan was a trump card in his hand. Is there any other way? Spangdane said hesitantly. He was a little panicked now and needed someone to help him. Then another way is for your son to bear the mistakes alone. Considering your past achievements and your hard work for so many years, the government will definitely let you go home and retire. No, as soon as these words came out, Spangdane immediately became excited. Absolutely not. It's not that he is unwilling to give up his rights. It is true that he and his son have offended too many people over the years. There are navy, pirates, bounty hunters, world government officials, revolutionary army, people from the underground world, and even people including CP. It can be said that there are countless people who want to drink blood and eat flesh from their father and son, and destroy their bones and ashes. Yan said there was nothing he could do. Spangdane hung up the phone and walked back and forth in the room. It's fatal, it's really fatal this time. What should I do? If there is no Yan, I can push it to the CP9 group of people. But now that Yan is here and push them to 2 waves, Yan will definitely go to the Navy and surrender. The Navy will definitely not let him go. Spangdane started thinking about the problem. There are too many people involved. Looking at the hung-up phone, Yan murmured, you know the best way, but you don't want to use it. What can I do? Sigh lightly. The best thing to do is to blame everything on Spangdam. Not long after, the door rang. And Mahler walked in with a recording. Major General, this is the tape recorder you asked me to make. It contains a recording of the conversation between Spandam and Nico Robin. Yan smiled. That idiot Spandam, you pressed the golden phone bug for no reason, and you still said it, weren't you 250? Those guys at Woolioxing typically don't accept that their subordinates are useless. Look at how Moria was dealt with in the original work. Moria was spared his life at first, but after the need passed, he immediately sent someone to deal with it. Mahler left immediately after delivering the call. Dial the Sengoku phone number. Yan, what's going on? How is the Navy on Judiciary Island? Warring States frowned and asked in confusion. The sudden demon-slaying order disrupted his steps. Now the Navy headquarters is very busy. There are a lot of things that need to be dealt with and there are many things that need to be reported to the world government. The Navy's use of demon-slaying orders is shockingly infrequent. Not used once in 10 years. Before this time it was the O'Hara incident. After each use, a large number of reports must be written to explain to Woolioxing. This demon-slaying order was given by General Aokiji to Spandam for security purposes. It was mainly to prevent Nico Robin from escaping. But that guy Spandam turned it on because he accidentally pressed the wrong button. I have evidence. By accident, the words I have evidence made Senguo's brainstorming. Furthermore, Marshal Waring states, I have picked up several people from CP9 and have them under our own control. Go back to headquarters immediately. Zheng Guo's brows jumped. He still knows the specific situation of the CP9 department. Spangdam is a loser who relied on his father to get to his position. The real hosts of CP9 are Spangdine and Rob Lucci. One is responsible for strategy and the other is responsible for tactics. Now Spangdine clearly wants to protect his son. Then the only thing that can be done is to put the blame on the Navy, Rob Lucci, and others. Waring States breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he had evidence in his hand. Go and contact Rob Lucci and others and ask them if they are willing to take over CP9 or enter CP0. I have a way, but I need them to be willing to cooperate with the Navy. Marichoa, Spangdine thought for a long time and called her son. Now you can find a way to get off the Navy ship and find a way to find me in Marigio. Now don't trust anyone but yourself. The destruction of Judiciary Island cannot be ended by blaming the problem on a single pirate. There will be no end to the accountability within their world government. At this time, their CP and Navy are life and death enemies. Spangdane hung up the phone and immediately went to find Wulioxing. And Wulioxing also had a headache at this time. The demon-slaying order has been launched, but a straw hat boy can't be caught. What's the point of the Navy? The bald 5 old stars were furious. After all, he is Garp's grandson, so it is normal for this kind of situation to happen. The long-haired old man was non-committal. As long as he had something to do with Garp, everything could be explained. The Judiciary Island was destroyed and the government was disgraced. In the final analysis, the military strength is too weak, the garrison personnel are too weak, the leadership is not good. And it needs to be rectified. The old man holding the sword said disdainfully. Who is responsible within the government? Asked the younger-looking Wulioxing. Let Spangdine and Waring States decide on the means. Whoever has good means and can shirk responsibility will win, and the other party needs to be held accountable. The old man with a mustache said very calmly. Weighing the pros and cons, we all have responsibilities anyway. It is impossible for everyone to take responsibility. Only one person can bear . While Waring States was making careful calculations, Spangdine had already begun to rush towards Wulioxing to file a complaint. Chapter 42 Tell the Truth. Wulioxing, it's bad, the Navy is going to rebel. Spangdane came in running and shouting in panic. Wulioxing looked at him calmly. Please start your show. Rear Admiral Eiffel Yavin of the Navy headquarters was originally my CP. He was sent to the Revolutionary Army. By chance, he became Doflamingo's subordinate. Now he has joined the Navy and became a Rear Admiral. As a result, he is now doing nothing to resolve the Judiciary Island incident and is fishing in troubled waters. Now he is boarding the Navy warship with the CP9 people. I suspect that he was bewitched by the Warring States period and was poaching CP. The Navy is trying to unify all the armed forces of the world government. Spangdine lowered his head and said quickly. There is reason and evidence, and everything makes the senior officials of the world government angry. But Wulioxing had no expression on his face. Evidence. Evidence of Eiffel Jarvan's identity. The old man holding the sword held the sword and said calmly. They 5 old stars are reasonable, and we will only believe you if you have evidence. Spangdane tremblingly handed over a document. Estarossa. The old man with a mustache looked at the files inside and said doubtfully. Yes, Eiffel Yavin's original name is Estarossa. He is an orphan picked up by the CPS from outside. He is also a spy agent secretly trained to lurk in various forces. Spanda felt pain and took out another secret training plan. As a senior official in the CP department, Spangdine is responsible for a lot of work. Although he is very good. Wulioxing separated the files and read them in batches. In the end, it turned out to be a good plan that has been executing well. But still not enough. Let's wait until we hear what Sengoku has to say. The 5 old stars looked at each other. The blonde middle-aged man asked Spangdine to step back. They still decided to listen to Waring State's answer. In the Navy headquarters, Sengoku didn't care much about the report. The Navy's position in the world government is much more important than CP. He wants to stretch himself and show his status. At the very least, you have to show that you have a clear conscience and are not in a hurry. Yan followed the 5 lieutenants of the demon-slaying order and returned to the Navy headquarters via the Triangular Sea. As soon as he arrived, he was called to the office by Senguo. Pack up and come with me to see Wulioxing. This time, I want to bring down Spangdine. Warring States was in high spirits, and he was extremely excited as he held the ace in his hand. Yan scratched his head, wondering if Spangdine was brought down, he would no longer be able to show off and use the CP department to convict people at will. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, so let's listen to the Warring States period. It's also very quick to sail from Marineland to Marigio. As soon as we entered, we were led to Wulaoxing by the soldiers who led the way. Explain what happened on Judicial Island. The 5 old stars could not see any anger at all. Warring States pushed up his glasses and said calmly. A.O. Pheasant discovered the traces of Nico Robin and handed the news to CP. Also, fearing that CP would not be able to complete the task, he lent the golden phone bug to Spondam. Then Spangdam dialed the wrong number on his own, and here's the recording to prove it. He gave Yan a look and motioned for him to take out the phone bug. Yan took out the tape recorder and played the recorded audio. Listen to the conversation between Spangdam and Nico Robin. The 5 old stars with mustaches got angry and shouted, "What is this? The cheapest demon-slaying order in history. The most casual demon-slaying order. The most casual demon-slaying order." The 5 old stars never expected that this demon-slaying order would happen so dramatically. The other 5 old stars could no longer calm down. Anyone would find it ridiculous to hear that Spondam accidentally pressed the golden phone bug because he picked up the wrong phone bug. That's the golden phone bug. That is the demon-slaying order. That is a military force that can easily destroy a country. 10 of the Navy's top warships, 5 elite lieutenants who rock the sea, and elite Navy personnel. If you equip it with a general, you can try to compete with the 4 emperors. As a result, it was launched. Spondam, trash, condemn. The long-haired 5 old star was so angry that he didn't know what to say. Warring States did not speak. He knew it was the result. The 5 old stars holding the sword tapped the ground with the hilt of the sword, attracting everyone's attention, and stared at Yan with sharp eyes. The next topic is about Eiffel Yavan's origin. Yan was not afraid at all. Sengoku calmly took out a document from his arms and handed it to them. Born on Lorraine Island in the New World, the island was destroyed, and he began to wander alone. He developed good abilities. After fighting various crimes, he realized that he could not do it alone, so he joined the Navy. At this point, Warring States stopped, pushed up his glasses again, grinned and said, "This is the superficial identity, the actual identity should be decided by Yan himself." After being recognized by the 5 old stars, he took a step forward and said loudly, "The true identity is Esterosa, who secretly infiltrated the army from the CP department. His mission is to infiltrate the Revolutionary Army and contribute to the disintegration of the Revolutionary Army. But I was sent into the underground world by the Revolutionary Army and became Doflamingo's subordinate. Doflamingo had evil intentions and wanted to conquer both black and white, so he sent me into the Navy. So much so that I'm now a triple agent." What Warring States told Yan was to tell the truth and tell all the truth. The 5 old stars were silent. They thought about retorting, but they didn't expect that Senguo and Yan wouldn't stop him at all and told the truth. This is worth thinking about. Did the Warring States period really have no idea at all? The 5 old stars looked at each other and saw the words difficult to solve in each other's eyes. This is really a big problem. They thought about it a lot, but they never thought about these 2 guys admitting it directly. "Go down." The old man holding the sword asked the 2 of them to get down. Yan was a little dumbfounded. This was the end. Warring States took him away. I turned left and right in the world government, wandering around in countless circles, and finally came to the office of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Without knocking on the door, just go in and see silly Yan. Fortunately, nothing inappropriate was done in the office. Commander-in-Chief Kong was just cleaning fishing rods. "Marshal Warring States, this habit of yours is very bad. If Marshal Kong is getting close to the little secretary, it would be embarrassing if you just come in. Still, you want to join in." Yan felt like he wanted to complain. Sora burst out laughing at this. "That's great, young man, I think you have the qualifications to assassinate the 4 emperors. If you keep talking nonsense, be careful if I ask you to go to the New World to assassinate Whitebeard." Warring States said impatiently. Sora sat on the sofa next to him with a bottle of wine, and invited the 2 of them to sit down together. After a while, a beautiful secretary with long legs, thin waist and big breasts walked in pushing a small dining cart. Yan glanced at it and said to himself, "Sure enough, he is getting stronger with age." Warring States pretended that he didn't see anything, and Kong invited the two of them to eat and drink in the office. Chapter 43 Limited Level. Delicious, especially delicious. The Commander-in-Chief's food is so good. Yan expressed his shock. It was the first time he knew that food could be so delicious. Sora laughed. Of course, the ingredients I eat here are all carefully selected by me. Basically they are on the same level as the 5 old stars. Sora smiled proudly. That's such a blessing. Yan looked envious and looked at the various fishing rods, golf clubs, tennis rackets, and badminton rackets placed in this room. This old man had a really good life. Sengoku also laughed. Marshal Kong is still as open-minded as ever. Shaking his head, Sora leaned on the sofa and picked his teeth with a fish bone. As the Commander-in-Chief of the entire army, in addition to taking care of my own food and life, I also have to deal with the affairs of retired senior officials in the 3 armies, CP, City Guards, and Navy. The status is very high, the power is so great, and it's only because I can fight. Yan shrugged. Commander of the entire army, this position looks like Wuliaoxing specially set it up for Kong, just to keep him. After all, even though some old men are old, their strength has not fallen below the level of generals. For a person like Sora who is in good condition and whose body has been maintained and is always close to its peak state, it is not a problem to risk one's life to produce peak combat power. It is still no problem to maintain a general's %% combat power in normal times. And this combat power is still stronger than those of the Emperor's lieutenants. After the casual chat, Sora's expression gradually became serious. He took a file from the desk and threw it on the plate. This is what you want? All the records about secretly infiltrating the army. Yan was shocked. Yoho, this is good stuff. It has to be said that the plan led by Spangdine is still very exciting. Sengoku looked disgusted and couldn't hand it to me. Why did he throw it on the dinner plate? It was very dirty. However, the Warring States period still looks open. Inside are personnel files. The personnel involved are either silver medal players in the New World, or big bosses in the underground world. The second ones are new and famous pirates, and the worst ones are middle-level codders who have infiltrated various forces. In addition, there are also the names of some Revolutionary Army codders. Finally, after searching for a long time, I found out that there was Yan in the Navy. Spangdine is still a talent. Warring States couldn't help but sigh. Sora nodded. Really? This plan allows CP to operate independently, and it is also the basis for them not to take advantage of me. Warring States and Yan didn't know how to answer the conversation for a while. Sora said, pointing to the file about Happy Street Stussy. Stussy of Happy Street, one of the 6 kings of the Dark World, has provided a lot of financial support for CP. Then he pointed to another unknown file. That guy works on the gold ship, and there is a huge amount of money flowing out from there every year. There are also some silver medal players in the New World. They all more or less control several islands. Surviving among the 4 emperors, the wealth they can possess is also amazing. Warring States' complexion gradually turned ugly. In that case, my decision to kill Spangdine this time was correct. Sora nodded. Exactly. If you tell the truth, the 5 old stars will feel that Spangdine's complaint is just to divert their attention and ignore the stupid things his son has done. After all, Wuliaoxing doesn't like people working with selfish motives. Only then did Yan realize that these were words directed at Spangdine. Then I directly exposed my identity. This won't transfer me out of the Navy. Yan suddenly thought of himself. Sora shook his head. Don't worry, I won't be transferred. Wuliaoxing doesn't care about this. They only care about whether you are loyal to the government and whether what you do is loyal to the government. Yan breathed a sigh of relief. Faithful. He works loyally for the world government. Not a second thought. The 3 of them chatted happily here. On the other side, Wuliaoxing was also discussing how to do it. Spangdine was obviously trying to protect his son. Then just kill them all. I'm afraid it will be chilling. Then let him do it to his opponents. Drive Spandam and Spandine out of Marie Joya. A figure flashed in the shadows. About a month later, someone discovered 2 rotting bodies in an unknown corner. CP will be handed over to Sora for now. I'm afraid he will favor the Navy. He's a smart guy who knows what to do and when to do it. What about Yan? Under our direct control. We need him to deal with the Revolutionary Army. It seems that Terra Island should be hosted by him. But we lost an excellent CP0 that time on Fairman Island. The dragon has taken action, and no one can stop it. But that time also exposed the weaknesses of the Revolutionary Army. Worth. The 5 old stars sang and settled the whole thing. Yan, who thought he had lost the leadership of the world government, never expected that he would get the phone bug of the 5 old stars. Yan's identity is directly controlled by Wulaoxing. Kong and Sengoku were both surprised. But thinking about it also relieved. After all, Yan has many identities, and each one of them hits the G-spot of the 5 old stars. However, Zhangguo saw that Yan couldn't wake up every day, always thinking about shopping with his wife after get off work, so he felt that Wulaoxing might be disappointed. This man is more loyal to the 5 insurances and 1 housing fund than to the world government. This is where the problem lies. That's the crux of the matter. The 5 old stars thought that by contacting Yan personally in their capacity, Yan would be very grateful and ecstatic, kicking the navy to do it with them. In fact, this young man would not be like this. Yan. Marshal, what's the matter? If Wulaoxing transfers you to the world government, will you go? Can you refuse? Can. Then I won't go. Yan looked disgusted. Why? The people in the world government are stupid and do many things, and they have to live in the same place with the celestial dragons. It's too disturbing and affects their lifespan. What a strong reason, but I have no words to object. The Warring States period wanted to object, but consider that the Tianlong people do affect a person's lifespan. Nod, okay. In that case, what reason would you use to reject Wulaoxing? Warring States regretted asking this question, and a bad premonition emerged in his heart. Yan smiled proudly. Marshal Sengoku has a tendency to betray. I suggest that he be transferred to a sinecure position, such as a naval inspector. I will be the Marshal of the Navy, and I will definitely protect the interests of the world government and the interests of the Tianlong people. As expected, Warring States sighed. This guy's brain circuit is abnormal. Moreover, he is used to letting his leaders take the blame, and he is used to blaming his leaders for anything. But thinking about this guy who immediately told him after receiving the phone call from Wulaoxing that he didn't have any espionage qualities, Warring States breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, okay, this guy's level is limited. Chapter 44 The Crazy Warring States Period. Just as Zhenguo's mood dropped, the phone bug in his arms rang. Yan secretly glanced at the face on the phone bug. It was Lieutenant General Garp. As soon as Warring States saw this heartless face, he was in a very bad mood. What happened to these guys who like to make trouble today? Come here 1 or 2. Ha 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 ha, Sengoku, because Luffy is my grandson, I decided not to capture him and let him live. At this moment, Yan clearly saw that Zhangguo's face changed from calm to stunned, and finally angry. Then he yelled regardless of the impact of the environment, "You old dog, get back here quickly and give me a good beating for your grandson." Pause. Do you want me to use the excuse that he is your grandson to tell the world? Warring States said that I am really angry to have a bunch of old guys like you on the stall. Akainu has a hot temper and is responsible for doing things, Garp is a bastard, Kizaru is a bastard, Aokiji has big ideas, and I am the only pillar in such a large navy. It's really tiring. Why did I encounter such a group of careless people? It's all retribution. I shouldn't have laughed at Marshal Kong back then. I recall that when he was still a general, he ridiculed Kong for his incompetence and his inability to control Garp. Fortunately, there was only one Garp in the air who liked to cause trouble. He and Zifa were both very obedient. As a result, he became a marshal, and each of his subordinates had more problems and became more troublesome than the last. When Yan next to him heard this, he couldn't help but look at Warring States with mocking eyes. What are you talking about, you idiot? You talk about the justice of the world every day. As a navy, you have a domineering look. Do you think you are a trouble-free person? How much pressure did you create on Sora from the world government? As for Zifa, who claimed not to kill at that time, he would have left so many troubles and had so many people complaining about him, I don't think Sora would worry too much. As far as Yan knew, there were more than a dozen city slaughter pirates who were lucky enough to save a dog's life under Zifa's name. The dozen or so kings who were massacred all went to the world government to complain against him. He was scolded for being soft-hearted, scolded for taking money and not doing human affairs. On the contrary, Akainu is more popular in this regard. Akainu's intolerance for evil is particularly appreciated by the participating countries. But Yan didn't dare to say it. The justice camp is still too strong, otherwise everyone wouldn't have evil intentions one by one. Yan sighed inwardly and felt happy that he had joined the justice camp. The stronger, the better. Garp outside the capital of Seven Waters had a stinky face, licked his nostrils, and said angrily. Bah, what the hell? You scold me every day when you become a marshal. What's the big deal? Bogart doesn't want to talk. This means that Senguo has a good temper and you have great military achievements. If you were another person, you would have seen whether Senguo would have smashed his head with a hammer. Back in Marineland, Sengoku took Yan into the marshal's office and found Zifa sitting on the sofa drinking tea and eating senbei. Zifa, why are you here? Zifa shouldn't be spending time in the recruit camp. How come he has time to come here today? Zifa grinned, Warring State's heartbeat quickened, bad news was about to come again. Qing Pheasant said that he had something to do and asked me to stay here to guard Marineland for him for a while. During the Warring States period, he asked me what to say. I said you, King Z, should be responsible, but you ran away again. Call me irresponsible. You found a replacement before you ran away. The City of Seven Waters, Straw Hat. How can this pirate group involve two high-level combatants of our navy? Sengoku complained through gritted teeth. Zifa laughed loudly. He liked to see Senguo's angry face and helpless expressions on others. Arvin shrugged, saying he didn't want to be involved in the accident. Warring States was furious and helpless. Finally, he glared at Yan fiercely and said with gritted teeth. You, go to the capital of Seven Waters immediately. Yan pointed to himself and said in astonishment, why should I go there? Supervise the battle. Warring States shouted these two words from the root of his teeth. I want to see how a naval hero and an admiral can't catch a pirate if they join forces. As soon as these words came out, Yan and Zifa were stunned. This forced the two people to come up with a good solution. Okay. Zifa was stunned for a moment, then quickly followed Yan. I'm afraid that Yan boy can't control the two of them, so I'll go with them. Yan left the building and spread his wings directly to fly to the capital of Seven Waters. Teacher, how do you get there? Look at Zifa, he has no wings, is he going to walk on the moon? Zifa grinned, and Yan had a bad feeling in his heart. With a click, Zifa took out a pair of handcuffs from somewhere and locked himself and Yan together. Not feeling the loss of physical strength, Yan sighed. He had been prepared for this. Yan swore that this was the first time he had flown in such a humiliating and ugly way. Zifa said it didn't matter to him, he was old and could be shameless. For this reason, Yan started to move at the fastest speed in his life. He wanted Zifa to taste the pain of flying at high altitudes. Then Zifa would be fully armed and directly resist the cold at high altitude. I shouldn't have cured your asthma so you could experience the lack of oxygen at high altitudes. Zifa laughed. If you say that, you are doing it to yourself. Yan sighed, feeling very helpless and could only silently speed up and arrive in the evening. Landing quietly in an unknown corner, Yan and Zifa each changed into casual clothes and headed towards the bustling central square. Mixed in the crowd, the two people quietly walked in. At this time, a grand banquet was being held here. Teacher, are you hungry? Good. Let's go eat and drink. But this is a pirate's party after all. Yan pointed at Luffy, who was showing off a roast suckling pig, and said excitedly, he is Garp's grandson. You are Garp's classmate's brother. He should call you grandpa. Durag and I are teachers. Brother, he should call me uncle. We are not eating pirates' food, we are eating our own relatives' food. Zifa thought for a while, straightened his back, and strode towards Sanji who was grilling meat. Boy, do you want us to compare who bakes faster or I eat faster? Sanji looked at Zifa's strong body and thought he was an old shipbuilder from Carrera Company, so he agreed. Yan wandered around the banquet with a smile. After finally escaping from the Navy headquarters, we treated it as a vacation. After wandering around, she wandered over to Nami, who was sitting in the corner looking at the record pointer, flipping through her notebook from time to time, frowning. Hey, little sister, what are you doing? Yan looked at the notebook she was flipping through and asked with a smile. Nami quickly closed the notebook, stuffed it into her chest, pouted, and said dissatisfied. Who are you? What does it have to do with you? Yan sat down casually, took a sip of fruit punch, and said casually, I took a glance just now and saw the words New World. Do you want to go there? Nami's eyes lit up when she heard Yuan talking about the New World. Chapter 45 The Swordsman Without Faith. The New World is the world of the strong. They call the first half of the Grand Line Paradise. Yuan took another sip of fruit punch and recalled. Nami was dissatisfied, she didn't want to hear these useless things. How's the sea there? Yuan smiled and replied casually, there is thunder and lightning in the sky, islands are floating in the sky. Waterfalls are flowing backwards, the sky is clear 1 second, and there is heavy snow the next. The weather changes at any time, and big whirlpools and big storms can come at any time. Nami said she didn't believe it, how could this be true? Yuan saw that she didn't believe it, darkness appeared in his hand, a notebook appeared, and he threw it to Nami. Take a look, this is my previous trophy, the voyage diary of a great pirate in the New World. Nami immediately became alert, and just as she was about to call someone, Yuan's short knife was pressed against her stomach. I'm just here to eat and drink, and this notebook is just food money for you. As he spoke, Yuan saw Nico Robin leaning against a wall, and with sharp eyes, he saw a layer of frost appear on Nico Robin's cup. Yuan got excited, hugged Nami, and whispered in her ear, Miss, I'm just a freeloader, don't tell on me. Nami was stunned, and before she could react, Yuan appeared next to Zifa, who was trying to be a teacher, drinking with Soran and explaining how to exercise correctly. Hey, teacher Zifa, look over there. Zifa turned around in dissatisfaction. He didn't see the old man telling the green guy opposite him a set of exercise methods. Then he also saw Nico Robin's frozen fruit punch. Kyuzin. The little girl is very good looking. I agree if she becomes my apprentice wife. Zifa laughed. It gave Yuan a headache. This old guy is also a bastard. In such a large navy, I am the only good person. Sighing, Yuan looked at the pool party being held next to him, changed into a beach suit, exposed his muscles, rushed in, and played with everyone. At the Navy headquarters, Sengoku opened his eyes and looked at the Navy headquarters, which had no high-end combat power except for himself. He quietly locked the office door, opened the drawer, found a box of tea, and found a pack of senbei. Make a pot of tea, arrange the senbei, and start your evening tea happily. Ching Pheasant rode his bicycle against the crowd, found a beach at random, and rode his bicycle toward the sea. Above the sea, an ice road spreads in front of the bicycle until it collides with a warship traveling in the opposite direction. At the banquet, Zifa ate barbecue and water, looking at Zoro, Sanji, Luffy, and occasionally others. From time to time, he showed expressions of satisfaction, frown, and distress. It seemed like he was struggling with something. Yuan looked at him, probably knowing what he was thinking. You want to give them some pointers? Yuan spoke Zifa's innermost words. Zifa didn't deny it either. Indeed, they are all good talents. If they join the navy, I am confident that they will train at least 2 generals. I see the potential of the Roger pirates in this pirate group. Zifa's words made Yuan nod crazily, yes, that's it. If the red hair is imitating the Roger pirates, then this one. I really see the potential of the Roger pirates. Zifa sighed quietly. At this moment, in addition to teaching, he also had a murderous intention. Yuan, tell me, should we be cruel enough to leave them here? His brows were twitching. Although Zifa spoke calmly, the firmness in his words made Yuan know that he was not telling lies. Anyone can do it, except you. Yuan decisively refused and pinned Wang Luffy and his party to death here. Then who will solve the 4 emperors pattern and who will break the Shishibukai pattern? Let's follow the original work, he has the ambition to organize the world in his heart. Zifa comes here, what does this mean? Because they destroyed Judiciary Island, the CP space camp. It can be regarded as indirect revenge for what happened back then. Zifa clenched his fists, he knew what Yuan was talking about. The death of his wife and children back then was not that simple. Someone betrayed his home address. The person who betrayed was CP. Back then, warring states and Garp led him to kill every CP of that generation and forced the CP department to hand over the murderer. For this reason, the government also asked a large number of CP officers to step down. It was the end, and then the hatred between the Navy and CP became more and more serious. For this reason he did not judge the Navy. Zifa unclenched his fist and smiled, you are right. Yuan took out another piece of paper from his arms, with the name of a ship on it. In a month's time the ship will depart from Marie Joya for a small country in the North Sea with Spandine and Spondam on it. Given by Wu Lao Xing. I think they want me to hand it over to you. Just try to comfort your soul. Zifa hesitated, not sure whether to take it or not. There are many people who hate them both, including Rob Lookie, who I brought back to the Navy headquarters. If you don't want to do anything, I'll ask them to record the video later. Zifa shook his head and refused. No, I'll be happy knowing the result. Yan smiled, that's fine. Did you know that there is a devil fruit worth 50 billion Baileys? Surgery fruit and rubber fruit. Yan said that you look down on me too much. I am also a CP, and I have memorized the 10 iron rules of pleasing the Tianlong and the 5 old stars. Then do you know the Redhead's battle for fame? Yan frowned, this was unclear. Probably more than 10 years ago, I can't remember exactly how many years ago. The CP of that generation tried to please the 5 old stars and found the rubber fruit, but was robbed by the red hair. Zifa smiled. In that battle, the red-haired pirates became famous in one battle, killing 3 CP0s, dozens of elite CPS, and 1,000 city guards transferred from Marie Joya. Does this have anything to do with now? At this time, the banquet was about to end, and everyone began to leave one after another. The Straw Hats were still playing there. Although I don't know why rubber fruits are so anticipated and so expensive. But I think the stronger the rubber fruit abilities are, the more the world government will respond. Yan had a bad premonition about what this old guy was going to do. Zifa disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of Luffy, punching him into the ground. Luffy held the big bump on his forehead and screamed in pain. Looking at Zifa, who suddenly took action, Sanji and Zoro were about to rush forward. Yan, stop that green guy! Zifa ordered, and Yan appeared in front of Soran instantly. Forbidden ahead. Seeing Yan appear, Soran gritted his teeth. 108 troubled wines. Yan cut it open with one stroke. Just swing the sword, why do you have so many names? If you choose a good name, you can become the world's greatest swordsman. Yan smiled disdainfully. He bullied himself and hit him quickly, not giving Zoro a chance to take action. Zoro felt the heavy blows contained in each of Yan's swords and tried to resist, but was hit hard by the blows and could not get away at all. I don't know anything about swordsmanship, nor do I know anything about swordsmanship. My slashes and flying slashes are just executed with faster speed and greater force. There's no intention in it. Yan explained while playing. For me, cutting through steel is nothing more than being faster, stronger and with a better knife. The same goes for cutting open the earth. As long as my body is good enough, my knife is good, and I have strong endurance, I can cut the earth open. So, Hawkeye actually hates my way of playing. After all, I am a swordsman without faith. Zoro's heart slowly sank in as he listened to Yan's words. He understood what Yan's swordsmanship was, which was pure swordsmanship, and there was no so-called swordsmanship in it. On the other side, Zifa smiled as he faced the people who came to attack. He raised his hand and motioned for them to join him. Chapter 46 Give them 1 point of color. Zifa showed an arrogant smile. Pirates, let's give it a try. Luffy instantly entered second gear, with steam surging all over his body, and he punched and attacked in anger, without any fancy attacks. Evil way. Faced with this scene, Zephyr complained disdainfully. Covered in armor, Zephyr punched Luffy, grabbed Sanji's flying kick with his left hand, and swung it hard to block Usopp's trajectory. Staring at Nami, Bai Zhan Yusheng's fierce and murderous aura frightened Nami to the point where she couldn't move. Chopper ate 3 blue wave balls in a row, transformed into a terrifying monster, and hit Zifa with a huge slap. Chopper! Luffy yelled, but the inexplicable power in his body prevented him from moving. Humph, it's a wicked way. Zifa snorted coldly and used fist to defeat Chopper with a frontal blow. On the other side, Yan yawned and looked at Zoro, who was kneeling on the ground with his sword on the ground, and said helplessly, Look, no matter how good your swordsmanship is, you are still not as good as my swordsmanship. Zoro gritted his teeth. He really couldn't figure out how the monster on the other side could do it. Blow after blow, the sword struck his vitals. He had to fight back, and he had to fight hard. The blow left him exhausted. Can't even lift the knife. Facing the Straw Hat pirates lying on the ground, Zifa grinned and said, Monkey D. Luffy, remember the power that defeated you just now. It is called Haki, and it is the ticket to the new world. The key to mastering it is not some evil way, but an honest way to improve your physical fitness, make it stronger and faster. Luffy's eyes widened, and a terrifying aura was gathering. Yan frowned, was he trying to awaken the Overlord's haki? Zifa stepped forward instantly and punched Luffy in the head, knocking him unconscious and instantly defeating his condensed momentum. Yan looked surprised. This is how the momentum of the Warring States period was shattered by Kong. Zifa's voice was filled with calm. And then, Yan remembered that during the Warring States period, there were Overlord-colored ones, and they were very scary. Maybe they would also be haunted by Overlord-colored ones. It will be very terrifying when it awakens again, directly causing physical attacks. Zifa said it in an understatement, and Yan was frightened when he heard it. This was really a terrifying memory. You are really adding another obstacle to the world government. Yan couldn't help but groan inwardly. Zifa waved Yan away. He has no intention of arresting the Straw Hats. The two of them strolled towards the beach. At this time, a man with an afro on a bicycle was sitting there. Not far away from the seaside, a dog-headed warship was slowly swaying over. Hey, are you trying to gather enough combat power to destroy the 4 emperors? Yan couldn't help but complain. 2 general-level combat prowess, one whose combat prowess may exceed that of a general-level general, plus himself, a monster. If the 4 of them join forces, they can kill any of the 4 emperors. Nothing else, just strong fighting ability. After boarding the warship, the 4 of them looked at each other face to face without speaking. Bogart signaled the chef to prepare a sumptuous dinner. Yan rolled his eyes, and sure enough, I needed to break the awkward atmosphere at this time. Brother Kuzan, are you afraid that Lieutenant General Garp will make a mistake and kill your child bride, Nicole Robin? After finishing speaking, without waiting for Aokiji's reply, Yan said to Garp, Lieutenant General Garp, are you afraid that Brother Kuzan will make a mistake and kill Straw Hat Luffy? As soon as these 2 words were spoken, Zifa retreated silently. Iron Fist. Ice Saber. After this day, Yan swore that he could boast that I had singled out the Admiral and the hero Garp. The important thing is that I am still alive. Bogart looked at Yan, who was still alive and kicking after being beaten hard by the 2 bosses, and breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was not dead, but his vitality was very tenacious. Zifa briefly explained the reason for their visit. Garp held his nose and said arrogantly, this is a distrust of me. When I went back, I ate the senbei from the Warring States period and drank his tea. I was so angry with him. Awesome. Yan gave him a thumbs up. You are probably the only one who dares to say this publicly. Qingji scratched his head and didn't know how to answer. Zifa laughed loudly and said that you are right, we should do this. That old bastard from the Warring States period, since he became the marshal, he seems to be so awesome. He still dares to order us and tell us to do things. Who is he? The 2 old hooligans were arm in arm, discussing how to go back and steal all the senbei from Sengoku, drink Sengoku's tea, and secretly put Sengoku sacks on him and give him a good beating. Yan walked aside silently. Excuse me. Now Genkuo is his superior and his direct superior. If one day Genkuo gets angry and burns his files and accuses him of being a traitor, he will probably be surrounded by 3 generals. To kill him, it's better to be careful. Qing Pheasant set up a beach chair and began to sunbathe in the moonlight. Such a scene, so perfect. The next day, they received a call from Warring States. Anyway, the shipyards of the 7 Waters capital did participate in the attack on Judiciary Island. They should be given some color. Garp patted his chest and said that he had experience in this. Then, ha 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 ha, Zifa, look at this violent hit from me. Garp swung it hard, and a cannonball flew out instantly, smashing a pirate ship with 1 cannon at super high speed. Zifa sneered, picked up another cannonball, threw it hard, and exploded a huge mushroom cloud when it came into contact with the sea. The already broken pirate ship became even more broken, and the pirates on it had no time to cry out in pain. It's just the color coverage of the weapon and the super high muzzle velocity at the moment of shooting. It makes it look like you are the only one who knows how to do it. Zifa said that I know all the skills you know, but I just don't have your terrifying armament and your invincible momentum. If you use skills, I will crush you 8 ways. Garp laughed and signaled Bogart to sail to another place, and they continued to wander and solve the problem. Today he will compete with Zifa to see who can smash more pirate ships. Next to them, King Z and Yan were drinking drinks and watching the show. By the way, learn the fighting skills of 2 veterans. It's really scary. Physical skills actually have different roots. Yan looked at the two old guys and couldn't help but sigh. Qing Ji smiled and said nothing. Zifa is a technical fluid artist. He is able to handle various situations at his fingertips with various techniques. He also has the ability to instantly see through other people's weaknesses. He is a typical tough talent. Garp is obviously the type who can defeat all means with one force. He has a more terrifying weapon color, a crazier physique, and a more fearless momentum. They are condensed into one to create invincibility and invincibility. This kind of thing often belongs to people who come to madness and fight madness. He is not afraid of anyone and dares to fight anyone. If he is blocked, he will stop when his momentum is exhausted. However, Yan had never seen anyone discourage Garp. This old guy belongs to the kind of guy who doesn't have the look of a bully, but I dare to smash the bully. These two old guys drove the warship and cleared out all the pirates outside the capital of Seven Waters. Bing Shan listened to his subordinate's report with confusion. President, for 5 days in a row, the pirates who originally booked the boat have not come to pick it up. We cannot receive the balance payment. Other than that, not a single pirate ship has come in for 5 days. It's as if the Seven Waters city has been isolated from the rest of the world. Bing Shan was silent and waved his hand, signaling to put down the report and retreat. Chapter 47 It's so cool. Bing Shan opened the report, looked at the names of the pirate guests on it, and fell silent. The worst thing about doing business with pirates is that the buyer is prone to death and cannot get the final payment. There was a knock on the door, and the news secretary put today's newspaper on the iceberg table on catwalks. Bing Shan nodded slightly to express his gratitude. The headline of today's newspaper is that the naval hero Garp defeated 35 pirate groups in 5 days, and his bravery remains the same as before. Among them were some billion-dollar pirates who were in the first half of the Grand Line and refused to go to the New World. More are the new pirate stars. After reading it, the iceberg silently put it down. 15 of those names were their customers. He walked to the window and looked down at the craftsmen and masters who were only processing raw materials because there had been no business in recent days. Then he looked at the vast ship with the island as the keel on the easel next to his desk, and sighed softly. You have dreams and responsibilities, and you have to make compromises. Frankie, take my dream and go to sea together. Bing Shan looked dazed for a moment, then made up his mind. Pick up the phone bug and dial a familiar number. Marshal Waring states, we have a batch of newly produced large ships here, but one engine is missing. We want to sell them to you at cost price to deepen our relationship. On the other side of the phone, Waring states stared at the price list in his hand, looked at Rob Lookie and his group standing in front of him, and sneered. Cost price? Mayor Bing Shan, are you kidding me? Rob Lookie is by my side. You can give the price after you think about it. Bing Shan's expression was solemn. Damn it, your uncle Rob Lookie, you betrayed me so quickly. In the marshal's office, Rob Lookie looked cold. The CP9 group standing behind him all had complicated expressions, the most complicated of which were Khalifa and Keku. The two of them were helpless, and they didn't want to betray Bing Shan. After all, they had a good relationship. But they also need to survive, and they need to show their value in the new department. A certificate of submission is required. Bing Shan was silent for a while, then slowly said, the price is 3/5 of the cost price, and we also have workers who need to eat. The phone was hung up. Bing Shan clenched his fists, and then released them, out of curiosity. Sengoku, just wait, I will build a perfect ship for Straw Hat, I will disgust you to death. Bing Shan gritted his teeth and made up his mind, carrying the toolbox and walking towards the seaside, where there was a king's warship being built. Waring States looked at Rob Lookie calmly. I originally wanted to ensure that you sit on the CP0 position, but Wu Lao Xing disagreed. Rob Lookie and others breathed a sigh of relief. They finally no longer had to reply to CP. They were so happy. What do you need us to do? Rob Lookie never knew that he could lower his attitude so low. Sengoku crossed his hands to support his chin, filling himself with dignity. All the female soldiers are under the name of Lieutenant General He. Khalifa, you go to the staff headquarters and report to Lieutenant General He. Clear. He carried out the mission without hesitation, which made Senguo very satisfied. Rob Lookie, you have a lot to learn now. The first thing you need to do is cultivate your domineering energy. Secondly, learn to be a good Navy man. You have 2 choices. One is to enter Zifa's newly opened special training class for senior students, and the other is to enter the Akainu unit for practical contact. Khalifa Sengoku is not worried, she is taught by he, boys and girls are different. Rob Lookie was in trouble because he wanted to join Akainu's unit directly. He felt that Akainu was the most compatible with him in the entire navy. From his personality to his concept of justice to his attitude in performing tasks, they were all very suitable. But thinking about the brothers behind him, it seems that they are not suitable for Akainu's personality, especially Owl, that guy's mouth is very honorable to offend people. The rest of the people looked at Rob Lucy, including Gabra, and they all listened to Rob Lucy. Marshal of the Warring States period, I want to learn from General Zifa, and then lead the troops alone to fight against evil. Warring States smiled with satisfaction. This magical smile made Rob Lookie's heart skip a beat. What was going on? If you choose the Akainu force, it only proves that you are a selfish person who only cares about yourself. But it's very good that you chose to enter the Zifa training camp for the sake of the brothers behind you, and then come out to lead the troops alone. It means you have a human touch. The Navy is different from CP in that it is a humane organization. Everyone's concept of justice can be different, but no one is allowed to be selfish and only care about themselves. At this moment, Rob Lookie felt like he was alive again. But he knew that this was just a routine test. When Rob Lookie came to the special training class for senior students, he happened to see Enilu exercising his abilities out of boredom. The moment the two proud men's eyes collided with each other, they felt each other's pressure. This guy challenges the status of this god. This big-eared thief deserves a beating. For a moment, the two made an inner judgment, then smiled and shook hands, expressing their enthusiasm for each other. The moment the two hands held each other, Enel smiled. 100,000 volts. At this moment, Lu Chi, who had not learned the domination of armed colors, was almost electrocuted. In the first encounter, Enelu won. Keiku, Gabra, and others instantly entered combat mode. After 3 minutes, the advantage of the natural system was revealed. The natural type restrains the animal type fruits that have not learned the weapon color. All CP9 members except Khalifa were put together collectively. From now on, I am the squad leader, and you are my little brothers. Enelu finally understood why Garp liked to beat himself so much. It felt so good. Chapter 48 Training Methods. The feeling of weakness and humiliation kept flooding into my heart. Enelu, who was standing in front of them laughing, made Rob Lookie's heart burn again. Rob Lookie still remembered that he was carried out of Judiciary Island by Bruno and Gabra, and was sent to the warship. After arriving at the Navy headquarters, Khalifa and Gabra, who were slightly injured, kept asking the doctors to be serious and treat their patients well. Look. Weakness is the original sin. This idea suddenly popped into Rob Lookie's mind. If he had armed himself with haki, he wouldn't be without the ability to fight desperately at this moment. However, Rob Lookie still echoed the instructions given to him by his former instructor. Even if you don't have armed haki, you can still challenge the natural type. You just need to be faster and stronger. There are loopholes in elementalization. For example, either the abilities are incompatible with each other, or you can hit them just before he activates elementalization. Enelu was still laughing, and Rob Lookie instantly stood up and attacked. 6 King Spear. The huge impact hit Enelu hard and knocked him out. Then Rob Lookie sat on the ground and gasped for air. Enelu lay on the ground with his eyes wide open and his abdomen had sunk. He couldn't believe that that guy could still stand up. Footsteps sounded, and everyone turned around, only to see a middle-aged, wretched man holding a cigarette and wearing a brown hat walking towards them. If it weren't for the word justice written on his cloak, no one would believe that this wretched man was a Marine. Chibaba, this is the plan added by the Vice Admiral of the Navy, codenamed T. Dolphin. Hearing this name, everyone in CP breathed a collective sigh of relief. If it were before, they would have been very nervous, but now, they are also considered part of the Navy. Enelu was relieved to see Jiaji, who was his teacher in recent days. Jiaji looked at the situation of everyone, scratched his head, and said helplessly, "You guys really started fighting?" Without waiting for anyone to reply, he continued, "But it doesn't matter, I'm only a temporary teacher anyway. When Teacher Zifa comes back, let him personally punish you for fighting among yourself." Jiaji's casualness made everyone in CP9 breathe a sigh of relief. This man is not the kind of person who will rummage through petty accounts, which is good. Next, you all attack me together, and I'll deal with you. Let's see how good you are. Come to help you draw out your domineering energy. Another fight. Rob Lookie and others found it very difficult. Enel said that he was used to it. At that time, he was always blasted by Garp. Garp blasted him for a few days, and when he had something to do, he left and handed it over to Zifa. Zifa beat him again and told him that he had the ability to hammer him, so don't disrespect him as an old man. Moreover, after Zifa finished hammering him, he asked various questions and occasionally found some special attack beings to deal with him. As a result, he was always on the road to being hammered. Among the people who hammered him were Muto, Akainu who came back to report on his duties, Crane who came to relax, Sengoku who relaxed his muscles and bones, and Kaji who was occasionally dragged here. Very familiar. The addition does not put much pressure on the hammers. He just recalled Zifa's teachings while dealing with the attacks of several people, and then made adjustments according to his own abilities. In the marshal's office, Warring States held a training report evaluation given by Zifa. Anilo has the potential to become a general. My physical constitution is up to standard, my fruit development ability is super strong, and my domineering power and appearance have reached a terrifying level. What is lacking is to hone your domineering energy, strengthen your physique, and deal with various special opponents. Looking in the direction of the training ground, there was lightning and thunder, sword light flashing, and 6 types of skills rising and falling one after another. Not everyone has the opportunity to be hammered by many of the Navy's top masters. Anilu, I hope you can become a general. Rob Lookie, show your true qualifications. Warring States murmured. Only when the Navy is at its peak of talent can it become more powerful and gain a firm foothold in the coming era. If their talents reach a level that allows general-level combat forces to frequently go out into the field, then their Navy will be one step closer to suppressing the sea. Sengoku gave the order without hesitation. Let Ghost Spider, Doberman, and Flying Squirrel come to my place after completing their missions. Ghost Spider's return of life, Doberman's ferocious aura, and Flying Squirrel's comprehensiveness are all good candidates for opponents. They need to experience more opponents in order to grow up quickly. This is the training plan given by Zifa himself. In Zifa's words, for beings like Anilu and Rob Lookie, is their training plan the only thing they lack? No, it's not. What they lack is mental stimulation to make them work hard. A little, but not much. What they lack is training in facing various situations. It is the feeling of being at a loss when facing various opponents. Only in this way can they grow up quickly. Only by experiencing enough opponents, seeing various situations, and knowing their own powerlessness, especially those situations where their strength cannot be used, can they grow quickly explode their own heritage, and push themselves away in one breath. To a very high level. Where did the Admiral's combat power come from? Is it the result of continuous cultivation and breakthrough? No, it's not. They did this by relying on their undefeated record and their ability to cope with various situations. Just like Zifa and Garp, they have no invincible physique, no special abilities, and no so-called overlord looks that are born to be kings. What they rely on is physical skills, knowledge, and armed domineering, as well as the momentum accumulated through countless battles. Garp's invincibility, Zifa's brutal battles for the rest of his life. Therefore, including the 4 emperors and the 3 generals, no one dares to say that they can easily defeat the 2 of them. It is even unknown whether they can defeat the 2 of them head-on. In the final analysis, it is the ability of the 2 of them, which is too tough. Zifa uses his own professional instructor level to develop this training method for talents like Anilu and Rob Lookie. He allows different people to fight against each other, transforming their background, quickly accumulating their strength, and then training again. Throw it into the sea and experience a better level of life and death battle. Warring States also agreed with this approach, so he continued to do it. In the capital of 7 Rivers, Bing Shan is indeed a ruthless person. This is the evaluation given by Yuan. For nearly half a month, he was still able to maintain his composure and not release the Straw Hat Boy. It's cruel. For nearly half a month, these people have been staying here, cleaning up pirate groups of all sizes. Cut off the pirate business in the 7 Waters capital. But Bing Shan still didn't give up, and he still didn't fall out with the Straw Hat Boy, and he didn't throw them out. So such talents are worthy of association and worthy of being partners. Zifa laughed. If he throws out the Straw Hat Kid under a little pressure and doesn't dare to take the responsibility, he will not be the mayor of Iceberg who has single-handedly brought prosperity to the city of 7 Waters. Qing Ji said lightly beside him. Yuan nodded, indeed. Chapter 49 Run Fast. That was an iceberg. The master was the fishman Tom, who built ships for the Pirate King and was sentenced to death. But he integrated all the shipyards in the Seven Waters City by himself, created a unified shipbuilding company, and built a dilapidated Seven Waters City into a great one. The legendary mayor of a famous city on the sea route. It also contracted more than 70.00% of the shipbuilding industry of the Great Line. If such a man cannot bear the pressure, it can only prove that their navy has chosen the wrong partner. Although this partner had just stabbed Judiciary Island in the back not long ago, their navy also punished them. But you must know that Judiciary Island belongs to CP and has nothing to do with their navy. Oh. From what you're saying, does this guy have a naval factor in his rise to power? Yan heard another news from Zifa's words. Zifa smiled and nodded. Indeed. At that time, the navy needed to find a partner with excellent technology, high energy, and courage to innovate. The iceberg appeared on the table of the Warring States period. Young, energetic, capable, and thoughtful, he is worthy of our friendship. Yan said he understood. No wonder the iceberg rose to the top so quickly and sat so firmly. Once he was still in the top position, he could receive large orders from the navy. Zifa stopped talking and Yan stopped asking. The news was enough and the problems were enough, then everything would be solved. The next day, news came from their personnel on the island that the Straw Hats were preparing to set sail. Everyone who had just picked up Frankie and was thinking of ways to wait for Usopp was frightened by Garp sailing over from the other side of the island. "Grandpa, didn't you say you wouldn't catch us here?" Luffy couldn't help but ask loudly. Cap scratched his head embarrassedly. "Luffy, something happened. As an apology, I will be your opponent alone." Garp threw away the microphone, grabbed a cannonball with his hand, weighed it, and swung it hard, but his accuracy was slightly off. It exploded in the sea next to the ship. The huge explosion blew the pirate ship away. The terrifying scene made Luffy and the others break out in cold sweat and gulp down their saliva. They must not be hit. "Hey, don't you claim that you are always on target? Why did you miss the target?" Zifa's sinister voice made Garp very unhappy. "I ate too much this morning, I was just warming up." After taking off his navy coat, the muscles on his body began to swell, and the soldiers on the warship pushed the cartloads of shells onto the bow. Meteor shower. Garp transformed into a ruthless cannon, and shells were fired from his hands, hitting the pirate ship. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji frantically blocked the attack. On the first day of the match, they were at a disadvantage. "Mr. Luffy is really awesome." Kirby's eyes sparkled. Yan couldn't help but sneer. "Like crap. Luffy is indeed powerful, but Garp has done enough." Just yesterday, Garp hit a fistbone meteorite and a cannonball to blow up the hard-hit pirate. Then 10 cannonballs remotely resolved the battle, killing the opponent alive. The other party is still an old pirate who has been around for more than 10 years. The power of each shell hit was far greater than it is now. So, it was Garp who let the opponent down too much, but the other party was too powerful. Next, Yan saw another scene of crazy water. Luffy stretched out his arm to pick up Usopp. Arvin said that if he were Garp and he really wanted to fight, one shell would blow up Luffy's arm now, and the second one would attack him directly while he was in pain, and the third one would hit him directly. Attack Usopp casually to see if you can kill him and influence the opponent's judgment. This is what fighting should be about. Wherever it is now, it just turns into a ruthless machine, shooting wildly, without any aiming or other operations. Yan said that this was the most serious fight he had ever seen. Of course, the three of him, Zifa, and Ching Pheasant had already let go of the entire world without taking action. If the three of them also take action, Luffy will be damned if he can escape. After picking up Usopp, Frankie activated the wind to jet and fly from the sea. Yan watched as Garp's extra-large iron ball fell into the sea. Looking at the huge iron ball, Yan patted Garp on the shoulder and said meaningfully, "Lieutenant General Garp, you released the entire East China Sea, did you know?" Garp touched his head and laughed, "Really, I am so powerful." Yan sighed, "You are much better than this. I'm just curious now. If you are so reckless, Marshal Warring States will kill you if he finds out. I can smash the head of the Warring States period dog." Garp said he was not afraid at all. Silently taking out a tape recorder from his arms, Yan played it again, "I can blow the heads of the Warring States period." Zifa laughed, and King Z silently gave Yan a thumbs up. Cap is angry. Yan spread his wings and took off into the air to escape. His heart skipped a beat when darkness opened up behind him and a huge explosion sounded. Yan couldn't help but look back, and the crazy rain of cannonballs and meteorites chased behind him in a blocking posture. Damn it, Garp, you double-standard dog. Just now you didn't fight when Luffy's whole ship was launched into the sky. Now you hit me when I run away, and you hit me so accurately. I am indeed not a human, but you are a real dog. Does your son know that you are doing this? Hand over the recording and spare your life. There was an explosion, and Garp rushed towards him crazily on moon steps. He had already caught up with his flying speed, and smashed his head with a pair of iron fists. Yan twisted his body, covered his short sword with his weapon color, and slashed towards Garp. The sound of gold and iron clashing sounded, and a huge storm exploded at the point where the two men met, blowing a big hole out of the sea. Kabi on the warship not far away stared wide-eyed. Is this a human? Are you sure this is something a human can do? Come on, you also have the potential to grow to this level. Zifa patted Kabi and encouraged him. He has heard of Kabi's name, but this is a disciple that Garp personally accepted and cannot be robbed randomly. And Garp's ability is indeed strong. Yan took advantage of the storm and quickly flew towards Melinfando. Absolutely no stay. His dagger would have been broken if it hadn't been for a sudden movement of his heart, and it was instantly covered in darkness. This guy's iron fist, after being covered in armament color, is estimated to be able to go head-to-head with the supreme sharp knife. What a crazy old man! Garp stepped on the moon in mid-air, looked at Yan who was escaping, and sneered, you can run, but the monk can't run away from the temple. Go back to Melinfando and continue to beat you. If I don't beat you until you can't get out of bed, I won't be Garp. When Garp returned, King Z and Zifa had also left. Above the sea, Qing Ji was riding a bicycle with a depressed look on his face, with Zifa sitting behind him. Teacher, you can take the warship. Qing Pheasant found it very difficult. Do you think I'm stupid? If I continue to stay there, old gangster Garp will definitely get angry and implicate me. You are right. But it was a bit awkward for us, two strong men over 3 meters tall, to squeeze onto a bicycle. Moreover, I have never sat in the back seat with Nico Robin. Garp snorted coldly, you guys are running fast. Chapter 51 Yan, you want me to die? As soon as Yan returned to Marineland, he was captured by the Warring States period. This is your next mission. The glasses showed helplessness and excitement, and Zhenguo didn't know how to describe his mood. Yan was a little confused at first, but after taking the task book, his eyes widened. Did it come so fast? Dao Tu and Heya, who were sitting on the sofa next to them, both stared at Yan with serious faces. Yan's eyes widened and he swallowed nervously. Marshal Warring States, I shouldn't have offended you recently, right? Yan asked with a hoarse voice, pointing to the mission sheet. Warring States pushed up his glasses and said meaningfully, of course not. Yan was instantly excited and slapped the task book on the table. If not, why did you arrange such a dangerous task for me? After accepting this mission, do you know how dangerous I will be next? I will offend 2 old-time bosses at the same time. And these 2 are pirates and marines respectively. Yan was really frightened. Are you, Zhenguo, sure that what you are doing is personnel affairs? Let him cooperate with Blackbeard to capture Fire Fist Ace. Is this really what people do? This will offend both Garp and Whitebeard. And this guy should be considered the most influential person of his generation. Are you sure you don't want me to die by letting me go? Yan said he wanted to refuse. Warring States stood up, patted Yan's trembling shoulder, and said meaningfully, Yan, if you believe in my character, how could I want you to die? As he said this, Sengoku pointed to Peach Rabbit next to him. Look, the mission partner I found for you is a beautiful woman with long legs, a thin waist, and big breasts. Peach Rabbit smiled appropriately, looking like a good wife and mother. Yan was silent for a moment and looked at Warring States solemnly, you really still want me to die? He pulled out the short sword and handed it to Warring States, you'd better kill me with 1 strike. From the teammates assigned to the tasks, everything is full of pitfalls. I reject. Yan really resisted. It would be a real mistake to fail this task. Do you know that after completing this task, you will offend too many people? Warring States put the short knife back into Yan's waist, put away his expression, sat back at his desk, and sneered. This mission is also agreed to by the 5 old stars. If you still want to join the Navy and the world government, just go ahead and carry it out. The world of power makes people understandless. Yan lamented the cruelty of the powerful and reluctantly walked out of the marshal's office. Dao Tu followed him with a smile. After walking out of the office building, the two walked towards the ship of the 10 Commandments detachment. When Arvin arrived, Mahler and Catherine were already standing at the front of the team, organizing the entire army and getting ready to go out at any time. Yan opened his mouth, but in the end he said nothing. He could only wave his hand to signal everyone to set sail. Catherine saw Dao Tu and said hello with a smile, "Long time no see, senior sister." Dao Tu hugged Catherine and raised and lowered her hands, "Hey, life after marriage looks very beautiful, and the skin has improved." Catherine's face turned red and she didn't know how to answer. Yan was very dissatisfied. Peach Rabbit stood up with a smile. Well, Yan got cold feet and retreated in despair. Peach Rabbit wins. Yan said that he is not a coward, but he just doesn't like old women. He returned to his room in the warship, took out his phone bug, and began to report to Long. Chief, Spang Dine and his son are going to be in trouble soon. The commander-in-chief of the entire army will be responsible for CP in the next period of time. You must be careful. That old man has the ability to dispatch naval assistance. The revolutionary army will soon be in charge. We may face naval artillery fire. On the other end of the phone, a tear shed unconsciously from the corner of Longian. What did you do? Why should you give me a terrifying opponent? He replied in the same words as usual, is Wolioxing stupid? They are not afraid of CP and the Navy joining forces. Yan nodded wildly. I also think the 5 old stars are crazy. They even united with Sengoku to ask me to help Blackbeard capture Fire Fist Ace. Isn't this pushing me into a pit of fire? As he spoke, Yan's eyes lit up. He seemed to have found a way to break the situation and blurted out. Chief, do you want to intercept Fire Fist Ace halfway? Long was stunned, what does this mean? The revolutionary army intercepted Ace, the Fire Fist. Long said he heard wrongly. The phone bug imitated Yan and nodded crazily, and Yan continued, yes, that's it. In this way, the revolutionary army can gain the friendship of Whitebeard, and they can preach to their heart's content in the territory of the Whitebeard pirates. Ah, bah, it's about preaching revolution. Long was silent for a moment, his mind spinning wildly. This proposal seemed very tempting, but he always felt that something was wrong. Finally, Long's eyes lit up and he decisively refused, no, no. Fire Fist Ace must be caught. Yan was stunned, why? Yan, in the name of the leader of the revolutionary army, I order that you must do your best to capture Fire Fist Ace. The dragon went crazy. The dragon was indeed crazy. He actually didn't save his son's sworn brother. What is the principle? Chief, what's the reason? Yan showed a bitter smile, at least you want me to understand. Long was silent for a moment, then explained, do you know the true identity of Fire Fist Ace? I know but I don't know either. Fire Fist Ace's true identity is Roger's son, and Whitebeard must save him. Given the strength of the Navy, Whitebeard is destined to die, but the Navy will also suffer. When the world is in chaos and the world is in turmoil, the revolutionary army can take advantage of the situation and develop. And after Whitebeard's death, we can only control and overthrow more countries by entering Whitebeard's territory. At this moment, Yan understood why the dragon did not save Ace in the original work. Xiang Bai told Long Bai the news, but Long Bai also had the same idea. Yan was heartbroken. He had been a spy on all sides, but now the 3 sides were in danger. It was up to Doflamingo to see if he was willing to save his life. 10 minutes later, Yan hung up Doflamingo's call. This guy was even more determined to catch Fire Fist Ace and make this matter a reality. Moreover, Doflamingo also said that he wanted to make a fortune from war. After hanging up the 2 calls, Yan sighed hard. A group of selfish guys did not take human life seriously, which made him likely to offend Garp and Whitebeard. Thinking about the human nature of the Warring States period, maybe his identity will be revealed to Whitebeard during the war in the future, especially if he personally captures Fire Fist Ace, and Whitebeard won't chase him until then. As for why? In the eyes of the Warring States period, it is very meaningful for one person to attract the hatred of Whitebeard, which is enough for him to complete many strategies and tactics. Yan severely scolded these people for being inhumane, but he was such an honest man. Chapter 52 Thoughts. Yan walked out of the room with complicated emotions and went to the top of the ship to enjoy the breeze and calm down. There was no way he was already in a situation where he had to take on this task. There was a sound of footsteps, and Yuan said without looking back, "Is something wrong? If nothing happens, just step back. I'm not in a good mood." Mahler's calm voice came, "Major General, what is our mission this time? I need to arrange tasks." Yuan smiled bitterly. "There is a notorious but powerful pirate called Blackbeard. He wants to make a deal with the Navy and exchange Fire Fist Ace for a position in the Shishibukai." Mahler's pupils shrank sharply and he blurted out, "Are those big shots above crazy? Are they trying to force Whitebeard out of the New World for a decisive battle?" Yuan glanced at him resentfully. "Why are you saying it? Why are you so excited?" However, Mahler frowned again. This task should not make Yuan so uncomfortable. Based on his understanding of Yuan, only things related to human nature and sophistication would make him uncomfortable. Things like war were something he had never been afraid of. Arwen sighed and continued, "This Fire Fist Ace is not only Whitebeard's son, he is actually Straw Hat Luffy's sworn brother and the god grandson raised by Lieutenant General Garp." Mahler's silence makes everything clear. "But do they really need to turn the ship around? Are you sure Lieutenant General Garp won't hammer them to death?" No wonder Yuan felt so uncomfortable. Mahler understood, but another doubt came to mind. That Blackbeard, can he really catch Fire Fist Ace? Yuan sighed softly, looked at the calm sea breeze, and said softly, "Yes. Intelligence shows that Blackbeard ate the darkness fruit. At the same time, he was also Whitebeard's earliest crew member. He followed Whitebeard against the Roger pirates and defeated red-haired Shanks. He is a man with a low reputation but powerful strength. Cruel person. Mad, another old Yinbai." Mahler cursed inwardly. He hated this situation the most. Where is Catherine? Yuan suddenly thought about why he hadn't seen Catherine coming since he got on the boat. Mahler smiled awkwardly and said sheepishly, "Just now I saw Lieutenant General Peach Rabbit dragging Colonel Catherine to her room. And at this time, the outside of the room is filled with sword energy." Yuan remained silent. "Damn it, that woman Dao Tua is so shameless, she is actually my wife." He didn't believe that Peach Rabbit pulled Catherine into the room just to reminisce about old times and talk about feelings. There was definitely something wrong. "Full speed to Bonaro Island, accelerating day and night." Yuan ordered with a dark face, "Damn Peach Rabbit, don't even think about sleeping well." When he thought of Dao Tu and Catherine being in the same room, his heart ached and he envied him to death. He also wanted to taste Peach Rabbit. Unfortunately, he was also afraid of being beaten to death by a T-dolphin. The ship sails at full speed, and the turbines on both sides rotate at full speed. The speed is very fast, but the disadvantage is that it is bumpy. In the room, Momoto, who was discussing the art of swordsmanship with Catherine and the improvement of his own combat power through the animal-type devil fruit, felt a sudden increase in speed, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he complained, "Small-minded man." Catherine smiled awkwardly. "Senior sister, the animal-type devil fruit has really made up for my physical deficiencies. The combat effectiveness has been greatly improved. I think you should take one too." Peach Rabbit hesitated. Her current combination of combat power is very clear. The sixth form of the Navy is the basis for physical training, swordsmanship is the main method, and she has reached the level of a great swordsman, and then there is the domineering color and knowledge color above the level. In terms of strength, taken together, he will reach the level of a general. But he is still a little short of a real general, just at an embarrassing level. But after eating the devil fruit, the way of the sword becomes impure again. Peach Rabbit was very hesitant. She has no shortage of devil fruits and can always find them if she needs them. Catherine didn't know how to persuade her, she could only express her thoughts. "But senior sister, your strength can only be improved through hard work. After all, I am too weak for you." Dao Tu sighed, she also knew this. General Sakaski gave up his sword after eating the fruit. If you eat the superhuman system, you are destined to actively research the ability, otherwise it will affect the development of the fruit. The animal type requires the least investment in the fruit's ability, but it requires more time to polish the body, which will also affect the swordsmanship, especially the animal nature in the fruit. Peach Rabbit had a terrible headache. She was really hesitant. He who does not eat fruits on the sea is a great swordsman, but he is not the greatest swordsman in the world. There are also many strong men who stand at the top of the times. But they all have a certain ability that is particularly strong and outstanding. For example, Redfield's ability to hear people's voices, Roger and Shank's overbearing looks, and their armored bodies all make them become world-class strongmen despite their swordsmanship reaching the level of a great swordsman. Peach Rabbit hesitated for the next few days. One day, when she was about to ask Yan for questions, the ship suddenly started to turbulence. Yan stood at the bow of the ship, looking at the huge sun that suddenly rose on Bonaro Island. Can't be calm for a long time. The strong men on the ship also walked out of their rooms one after another, looking at the rising sun on the island and the darkness confronting the sun. At this time, Bonaro Island was divided into two worlds. On one side was boundless darkness, which seemed to swallow the world at a glance. On one side was a blazing fire, burning like a huge fireball, as if it was going to illuminate the darkness, pass through everything, and burn the entire world. The natural system is the representative of natural disasters. It does not have the terrifying vitality of the animal system, nor the weird abilities of the superhuman system, but it itself represents a natural disaster. It is a terrifying existence that makes humans want to run away when they see it. Dao Tu walked over seriously and said with the famous sword Jinpai Lao on his waist. Why she and Chato are always behind the current three generals, that's the question. The two of them lack an extremely outstanding representative of ability, and their comprehensive ability is even worse. Reno, Catherine, and Mahler also came over. They knew that the person they wanted to pick up was in the flames. The flaming sun collided with the dark world, and the terrifying momentum spread out, inspiring a hurricane to blow in all directions. Faced with this horrific scene, Yan remained unmoved. During the collision, a figure rushed out of the flaming sun, an angry fire fist sounded, and another huge fireball exploded into the darkness. In the darkness, the boundless darkness turned into a terrifying whirlpool, swallowing up the rushing flames. The people of the Ten Commandments detachment looked at the flames and darkness fighting each other, and couldn't help but look at Yan. Their boss, in addition to counterattacking, could also control darkness and flames, which was even more terrifying. Yan sighed softly, Ace will definitely lose. His way of fighting the dark fruit is wrong. Peach Rabbit next to him nodded in approval. That's right. The reason why the Warring States period sent her here was to deal with the dark fruit. The dark fruit is equivalent to the nemesis of the natural system. The darkness that is enough to swallow everything is disgusting. But as long as the holder is eliminated, everything will be no problem. As for the dark fruit, the best ones are pure swordsmen and pure physical arts masters. The flames on the island were swallowed up by the darkness, and the darkness slowly faded away. Yan called his men to the island. Receive your own mission goals. Chapter 54 Beating Blackbeard. I remember there were villages on Bonaro Island. Just after setting foot on the island, Yan frowned and asked. Dao Tu, Mahler, and others next to them didn't understand what was going on, but Mahler still replied, yes, there are villages. After receiving the confirmation, Yan sighed, after receiving Fire Fist Ace, be ready for battle. Just as Dao Tu was about to ask something, he saw the soldiers and school officers following from the Ten Commandments detachment equipping themselves with weapons and getting ready for battle. Silently, he held the Jinpai Lao, ready to draw his sword and strike at any time. Then he swaggered towards the place where the battle took place. The further they walked toward the center of the island, the more everyone understood Yan's thoughts. The original village has turned into ruins, and no one can be found. However, it can be seen from the ruins that they were affected by the battle just now. The dark fruit has the ability to swallow everything. And just now a lot of darkness emerged on the island. It should be caused by the swallowing of darkness during the battle. Dao Tu looked at the dilapidated road and the foundation of the original house, and suddenly said. Catherine's eyes turned into animal eyes unconsciously, Mahler put on his gloves, and Renault checked his gun. Damn pirates! Looking for the sound of the battle just now, everyone came to the middle of the island steadily. The battle scene here is even more terrifying. A huge pit appears in the middle of the island, with faint heat from the flames on both sides. Blackbeard is kneeling on one knee with black smoke still rising from his body. Fire Fist Ace was lying on the ground, as if he didn't know whether he was alive or dead. The crew of the Blackbeard pirates were on alert when they saw the navy. Fan Oka instantly raised his gun and aimed it at Yan, and Renault pointed the gun at him unceremoniously. Compare who is faster. The atmosphere became tense in an instant. When the members of the Blackbeard pirates saw Yan and Momotuo in front of the navy, their hearts immediately rose. They are a rational pirate group, not a hot-blooded idiot pirate group like Straw Hat Luffy. They know the navy's top combat power. Ha ha ha, the Navy really thinks highly of me. They actually sent the backup General Dao Tu and the rising star Yuan of the Navy to receive me. It was Blackbeard who broke the serious atmosphere. Yuan looked at him indifferently. Whether or not to get rid of Blackbeard here is a question. Then Yuan pulled out his short sword and slashed it down. A black slash capable of tearing mountains apart flew towards Blackbeard. Looking at the huge slash, Blackbeard had no expression on his face. Lafitte spread his wings behind his back and raised his sword to block the attack. Yuan glanced at Lafitte. He was not familiar with him, he didn't recognize him, he had some strength. That's the bad thing about the pirate world. If you want to look for it, you can always find some masters who don't have bounties or official positions. There are too many people hiding among the people. Ha ha ha, thief, Major General, I don't have a reward on my body. In theory, I am a civilian. If you attack me like this, be careful, I will go to the world government to sue you for killing innocent people indiscriminately and taking credit for killing people. Blackbeard laughed and joked, not paying any attention to the attack just now. Yuan also smiled. Furthermore, the Major General is going against his orders, and your navy is going to break the agreement. Lafitte's right hand holding the sword began to bleed. The power contained in the previous slash made him unable to hold the sword. The smile on Yuan's mouth became even bigger. There is no reward order. Tear up the agreement. Blackbeard and Lafitte had a bad premonition in their hearts. There is no reward order, I can send you one. As for the agreement. Who did you make an agreement with to find someone? Why are you looking for me? What does it have to do with me, Yuan? Lafitte frowned, looked at Blackbeard, quickly took out his phone, and prepared to make a call. Boom! Boom! Two lead bullets covered in military colors collided in mid-air. The battle was about to break out. Mahler instantly shot up into the sky and punched Lafitte. He must not be allowed to make a phone call. Bashes laughed and flew up, his two fists met in mid-air, and for a moment there was no winner. Catherine stepped forward and was blocked by Poison Q. Looking at the poisonous Q in front of her who seemed to be dying, but with strong vitality inside, Catherine frowned, and a layer of ice covered her body, forming a layer of ice armor to complete her protection. The moment the ice armor was covered, Catherine saw the land in front of her begin to change color, and sneered. It was just poison. Yuan and Peach Rabbit rushed towards Blackbeard. Just as Blackbeard was about to use the power of the dark fruit, he received a huge slash. At this time, he was glad that he was wearing steel claws. Blackbeard spread out a large amount of darkness as support and rushed forward forcefully. He knew that the weakness of his dark fruit was known, and the opponent was directly targeting his taijutsu. Peach Rabbit is also a decisive person. Now that the battle has begun, he should not hold back and rush towards Lafitte while Yuan and Blackbeard are entangled. Blackbeard tried his best to withstand Yuan's sword, but also rushed towards Lafitte, met the blow with his steel claws, and threw Lafitte out. Hurry up and call and ask the world government to stop these lunatics. Blackbeard covered his wound and stared at Yuan and Dao Tu fiercely. These two lunatics were too strong. He had just attempted to activate the devouring darkness, but was interrupted by Dao Tu and Yuan's joint attack. Lafitte's head was sweating as he dialed the number over and over again. What he didn't know was that on the other side of the phone bug, the world government official responsible for docking the Shishibukai affairs glanced at the phone bug, drank tea leisurely, smiled and said to his friend sitting opposite him, "We are officials of the world government, you must be careful and be responsible for your identity, otherwise, these pirates will think we need them too much." The friend smiled and nodded, and the two of them raised their glasses and drank tea. The sun was just right. After a while of tea, they got off work. Then they went to play cards and then went to the population work agency in Siang Bodhi. That would be great. Lafitte cursed the world government officials in his heart. So damn indifferent. Blackbeard took advantage of the opportunity to separate again and take a look at other battlefields. Poison Q was suppressed so hard that it could only be said that it blocked Catherine, making it impossible for Catherine to escape for a while. Two gunmen were engaged in guerrilla warfare. Bass's was also suppressed, and Mahler's fists were obviously harder than his. Blackbeard was heartbroken and shouted. Lafitte! Lafitte dropped the phone bug, pulled out his sword, rushed back quickly, and forcefully took Yuan's move, and then forcefully took Dao Tu's blow. The sword in his hand was shattered, and he vomited blood and flew backwards. At this time, the ground was filled with darkness. Dark cave. A terrifying attraction appeared on the ground, trying to devour everything, instantly affecting the Navy's actions. Run! Blackbeard told his men to run away quickly. Poison Q picked up Lafitte on horseback and ran away, as did Bashes and Van Oka. Yan raised a slash and struck Blackbeard. Blackbeard then moved away quickly with his slashing force. Yan looked at the Blackbeard pirates' escaping figures and remained silent for a long time. After all, he is not Esterosa at his peak, otherwise he would have caught up with him long ago. Take Fire Fist Ace and let's go. Yan could only say that he tried his best to prevent Blackbeard from becoming the Kaiwukai and sabotage his actions. The rest will be discussed later. Chapter 55 The Miserable Blackbeard. Blackbeard and others, who finally escaped, hid in a dark corner to heal their wounds. Captain, where are we going next? Basses lost his arrogant smile and touched the bandage that had just been applied to his chest. He was almost punched through the chest by Mahler. Blackbeard glared at Lafitte with a sullen face, and said in a hoarse voice, "Keep calling, we will complain to the world government and question them. I believe that this is definitely the decision made by Eiffel Yan without authorization, not the work of the world government. Anyway, Fire Fist Ace has been handed over to them." Lafitte started calling again. The world government official who contacted the Shishibukai finally answered the phone. "What's up?" The arrogant voice came, making Lafitte clenched his fists and wanted to beat him to death. "Mr. Smolt, we have handed over Fire Fist Ace to the Navy, but they attacked us and wanted to arrest us. How should we solve this problem? I wonder when the documents from the Shishibukai will be delivered." Smoot was silent for a moment and said slowly, "Did you call just now because you were attacked by the Navy?" Lafitte was stunned. What did this mean? "Yes. We just escaped." Smoot frowned. "Escape?" "Yes." Lafitte also frowned. Blackbeard raised his head, and the two of them felt uneasy again. Smoot's dissatisfied voice came, "Then you are really useless. The people who went there are not even 3 generals. You actually need to escape. A mere receptionist can almost kill you. What's the use of you? As for the Shishibukai documents, just wait. It's already 5 o'clock now. I have to get off work to play cards. I go to work from 10 to 5. Everything will wait until I get to work." Trash. The phone bug was hung up. Lafitte could no longer control himself and smashed the phone bug into pieces. Blackbeard's face was gloomy and he murmured, "No wonder Rox wants to be the king of the world, no wonder the Golden Lion wants to overthrow the world, no wonder the Revolutionary Army wants to rebel. With your world government's arrogant behavior, you really deserve it." At this moment, Blackbeard felt that he had come to the truth, the complete truth. "World government, wait for me, seize the opportunity, and I will kill you." Blackbeard secretly made up his mind. He vowed to kill the world government. Lafitte looked confused, not knowing what to do. "Continue to fight after he gets to work. We must get the Shishibukai documents." Blackbeard gritted his teeth. "If you don't become a Shishibukai, many things are difficult to deal with." In the world government, Smoot hung up the phone, his face full of dissatisfaction, and complained to his friend sitting opposite him, "This Blackbeard pirates are such a waste, they were almost killed by the people sent by the Navy to receive them. I have the nerve to complain, but I think I should suggest that the Navy reselect Shishibukai personnel. How can this kind of trash be qualified to serve as a Shishibukai?" The friend sitting opposite Smoot shrugged and said helplessly, "Maybe the Navy also wants to test their quality. After all, there are many people in the Navy who have opinions about the Shishibukai." Smoot nodded, "Now I have begun to have opinions as to whether a Shishibukai of this level is of any use." Then the two of them checked the time, packed up their things, and clocked out together. They have always been committed to commuting to get off work on time, never wasting any government power resources, and being qualified government officials. On the warship, Fire Fist Ace woke up and looked at the unfamiliar ceiling. He felt the sea stone handcuffs on his hands, and the doctor who was preparing medicine next to him. Then he looked at the Navy commander hanging beside him and closed his eyes again. "Was it sold to the Navy by Teach?" "Sorry Dad. I think the person you should apologize to the most is Lieutenant General Garp." A frivolous voice came from the door, and Yan sat on the edge of the bed. Ace ignored him. "If you were not under Lieutenant General Garp's skirt, I would definitely not let anyone treat you." Ace still ignored him. Yan shrugged and turned to leave. Some things can be said halfway. The doctor next to him continued to treat him. On the deck outside the door, Dao Tu was waiting for him with a phone in hand. The phone bug is vividly imitating Sengoku's face, an angry face. Yawn, who asked you to attack Blackbeard on your own initiative? What if he kills Fire Fist Ace and affects the Navy's grand strategy? Can you afford it? Yawn plucked his ears and said nonchalantly, I just tried that guy's quality. Besides, he destroyed the villages on Bonaro Island by fighting with Fire Fist Ace, which itself made me very angry. I just did it. It's just about following your own heart. Warring States was choked and speechless. If Yawn hadn't been a proven and loyal member of the Navy, he would have won it. Of course, the most important thing is that Yawn is very capable. As long as Fire Fist Ace receives it, I can also settle the Blackbeard matter, but remember, all the next tasks are centered around the big plan, and no random interference is allowed. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Senguo hung up the phone after giving a fierce warning. Peach Rabbit shrugged, I can help you fight, but I also have to report afterwards. Yawn smiled and understood, you also need to eat. There will definitely be a debriefing. However, understanding is understanding, and you still have to be angry. Senior sister, why are you afraid of him? An old man who is about to retire. Don't forget, we are Master Zifa's disciples. Our brothers are all over the Navy headquarters. We control the justice of the entire sea. Why should we be afraid of an old man like him? Dao Tu said that he was shocked by these arrogant words. Swallowing, Dao Tu said in shock, who have you told this to? Teacher Zifa will die from your bad mouth one day. Dao Tu felt that Zifa would definitely die from Yawn's mouth in the future. Why is Zifa still holding the title of general, but gradually moving away from the center of power of the headquarters? Why are three factions gradually emerging, hawks, doves, and neutrals? Isn't it because Zifa gradually realized his influence on the headquarters and the position of marshal during the teaching process, and began to stay away spontaneously? It's not that the top marshals are engaging in internal struggles to share the overall political pressure. Otherwise, which leader can withstand the unity of the lower-level employees and order them to do something? Yawn smiled proudly, I am a Navy dude, who will take me seriously, right? Dao Tu took a step back silently, not wanting to talk to him. With you, even a few lives are not enough. Without returning to the Navy headquarters, Yawn and Dao Tu were ordered to go to Impel Down City with Fire Fist Ace. At 10 o'clock the next morning, Lafitte dialed the phone with excitement, and then no one answered. Blackbeard looked gloomily and gave Lafitte orders until he got through. All day long, no one answered. Inside Marigio, Smoot was feeding his new cat and glanced disdainfully at the buggy phone that kept ringing. Idiot pirate, you don't know it's Saturday, you still call me, you're really stupid. Chapter 56 Hate. On Monday working day, Lafitte stared at his eyes that were already swollen from staying up late, his voice was hoarse, and he looked excitedly at the phone call that was answered. Finally connected. Smoot was shocked when he saw the phone bug imitating Lafitte. Did the idiot opposite him fight for 3 days? Is it 205? Don't you know I have Saturday and Sunday off? As expected of a pirate, he is just uneducated and stupid. Smoot felt even more contempt in his heart. Lord Smoot, I wonder if you have finalized the transfer procedures for Fire Fist Ace and when you can send us the Shishibukai documents. Lafitte's voice was hoarse, suppressing his anger. If his temper hadn't gotten better in recent years, or if things hadn't reached this point, with his previous temper, Smoot would have been tortured to death. Damn bureaucracy! Drinking tea and eating pastries, he rummaged around the table and found Wulaoxing's reply. Smoot nodded, yes, Wulaoxing has agreed and will hand over the documents to you in 3 days. But since you were beaten by Yuan, the 5 old stars are very dissatisfied and are skeptical of your combat power. If you do not perform well during the war, your status will be revoked. Smoot gave a final warning and hung up the phone. Lafitte was angry at first, then ecstatic, and quickly told Blackbeard, who couldn't help laughing. Although there was an accident, the plan still worked. Plan pass. If the plan is passed, it means you can do it. Being able to do it means they are awesome and they will defy the odds. At that time, who will care about a mere Shishibukai identity? Smooth, don't step out of Mary Joa, Lafitte, will kill you. Smooth, just wait, I will kill you the day I break Mary Joa. Lafitte and Blackbeard secretly made up their minds. It's not that the two of them are small-minded, it's really irritating. After 3 days of sailing, Yuan finally entered the triangular current and yawned. He raised his eyebrows provocatively at Dao Tu and said, "Look, nothing happened. We beat Blackbeard and no one came to hold him accountable." The look of wanting to be beaten made Dao Tu feel unhappy, and he cursed in his mind, "Mad, you are a loser, Blackbeard, you are a loser of the world government, you don't even dare to hold them accountable." However, Dao Tu still didn't say anything, who made Yan look reasonable now. After entering the triangular current, the sailing speed became faster and faster, which also meant that the mission was about to end. Call a marine and ask him to inform Fire Fist Ace that he can come to the deck to bask in the sun. He will get hairy easily if he stays in the medical room every day. These 3 days of life left Ace confused. A beautiful doctor treated his injuries, and his superb skills healed all the hidden injuries on his body. The food we eat every day is also carefully selected and of high quality. He slept in the medical room, not the dungeon. And the soft bed was something he had never slept on before. Now some sailors came over and informed him that he could go on the deck to bask in the sun. What's happening here? Could it be said that the Navy treats prisoners so favorably? With full of doubts, I came to the deck and found Yan and Dao Tu lying on the chairs to enjoy the sun. There was an empty beach chair next to them. Ace was not polite and lay down directly. Cherish the last few days. If you go to impel down, even if someone gives Lieutenant General Garp face, you won't enjoy it so much. Yan's faint voice made Ace's body tremble. How did he know? This identity should be very hidden. As if he could read Fire Fist Ace's thoughts, Yan said casually, "Don't think about it. Your identity and the identity of that straw hat are known to the Navy and CP, at least to the top brass. According to the original tacit understanding, as long as you don't go against the world government, everyone will acquiesce that you don't exist. And Lieutenant General Garp's reputation is big enough." Yan also had to sigh that Garp was so proud. Although Garp has always despised the celestial dragons. But when it comes to who the Tianlong people trust the most, it is Garp. The top brass of the Navy and CP knew about the Island of Gods incident and knew that that battle was the moment when the celestial dragons were closest to death and the most powerful witness to natural disasters. Garp protected them and made them firmly believe that Garp was the strongest guardian and was trustworthy. Although Garp has always regarded that incident as a shame, the celestial dragons recognized him. Therefore, including CP, except for the unreasonable Dash, everyone is willing to give Garp a face. Anyway, in the eyes of the celestial dragons, the son of the Pirate King is just like that, and they can't understand the impact of what Roger did on them. If we have to say that they are aware of the impact of the Great Pirate Era on them, it is probably because the pirate slaves have risen so fast and increased a lot, which is really good. As for other impacts, there really aren't any. Fire Fist Ace turned his head, he didn't understand these things. Pichu Sajai looked indifferent next to her. Her concept of the son of the Pirate King was that he could be hacked to death with a few swords, or she was burned to death. Tisk, I am a born child of sin. How could anyone let us go? Being a pirate is my only way out. Ace's voice was full of anger. He didn't like this bloodline either, but what could he do? Yan sighed. People deserve to die in many ways, but they don't deserve to die because of their birth. The reason why the Navy arrested you was never because of your identity, but because you once destroyed 10 Navy warships and you blatantly flew the pirate flag. If you were arrested because of your identity, everyone would have killed you long ago. I really thought everyone didn't know about you hiding in the kingdom of Goa. At that time, it was just that everyone gave Garp some face. Roger has experienced the Island of Gods, and he knows that Garp is the only one who can save Ace. If Rayleigh had picked up Ace, he would most likely have been destroyed by the pursuing Navy. Ace laughed at himself, obviously full of disbelief in Yan's words, and said disdainfully, "Oh, can't I be a Navy if I'm not a pirate? It's really good." Yan's words made Ace feel bad. Damn it, do you know what you're talking about? Yan thought of what Spangdine said by chance when he was still in CP. It was when Ace first went to sea, and Spangdine laughed loudly, saying that he had found a reason to attack the Navy. Spangdine's original words at the time were that if Ace became a Navy, the matter of his identity would be settled. But now that he has become a pirate, as long as he is caught, they can use it to attack the Navy. In the world, at the meeting, the Navy was so embarrassed that they even tried to beat Garp until he retired. Spangdine was excited for a long time. In the end, it was because Ace grew up too fast and Whitebeard quickly took over, so the masters in the CP did not have time to surround, strangle and arrest him. Yan wouldn't say these things, but Garp has always said that letting Ace and Luffy become Marines is really not a lie, but that he can really do it. The gate of justice can already be vaguely seen. Yan stood up and asked Ace to get up. Mahler had already brought 2 groups of soldiers over to surround Ace. The person you are most sorry for is not Whitebeard, but Lieutenant General Garp. You're about to cost him his grandson. You will send him the white-haired man to the black-haired man. You will deprive our navy of one of its top combatants. Yan's last look contained a hint of disgust and hatred. Dao Tu held Yan down and signaled to him that it was okay. Chapter 57. The huge gate of justice slowly opened a small crack, and the warship entered through it. At the port of Impel Down City, Magellan led the middle and high-level officials of Impel Down City to guard the place. The tall body, decorated with devil horns, dark clothes, hard expression, and the terrifying aura that he unconsciously exudes when he stands there all indicate that this is a powerful person. Peach Rabbit couldn't help but curl her lips when she saw Magellan. This was her most hated opponent. In other words, she doesn't like all the natural ones. If it weren't for the fact that my darkness can swallow energy bodies, I would hate opponents like Magellan to death. This guy's combat prowess in Impel City is comparable to that of a naval admiral. Yan couldn't help but complain. Especially the poisonous poison brought by the poisonous fruit is even more annoying. Same as above. Peach Rabbit approves very much. Thinking of this, Yan said that he had to complain, Judiciary Island is really weak. If it hadn't been for the protective umbrella of a world government flag, I'm afraid it would have been taken down long ago. Now that I've been defeated by the Straw Hat Boys, I don't know if there will always be people there to increase their presence in the future. Dao Tu glanced at him and said calmly, in order to prevent your worries, after Marshal Kong took over CP, he set up a CP training camp on Judiciary Island, and the chief instructor responsible for CP training stayed there. In addition, the commanders after CP9 must be strong, and they must be stationed in rotation all year round. He is also applying to have the CP main body set up on Judiciary Island. Dao Tu has a big sister who knows more. Yan nodded, this is not bad and very good. As the two chatted, the warship had arrived at the port, and the distance gradually reached the point where the other side could hear clearly. The two shut up and stopped talking. After docking, Yan and Peach Rabbit walked in front, followed by Mahler and Catherine, and behind them was Ace escorted by the Navy. Long time no see, Director Magellan, Deputy Director Hannibal, Warden Domino. Yan greeted with a smile. I secretly sighed in my heart that there was not a single senior brother here. Magellan looked past Yan and Peach Rabbit to Ace. This is Fire Fist Ace. Marshal Sengoku has already called. Just hand him over to us. After Magellan finished speaking, the jailer behind him was about to step forward to take the person into custody. Yan shook his head to stop him and said seriously, no, I will personally escort him into the cell. Magellan frowned, showing distrust in us. He's a big deal and I have to make sure he's incarcerated accurately. Yan refused to give in and had to be escorted in person. Magellan was not happy. The title of Impel Down City's Iron Walls is not an exaggeration. You are not giving me face. He was imprisoned in a place where even our insiders cannot easily enter, let alone the Navy. Although Impel City has a good relationship with the Navy, you can't enter level 6 at will. Magellan also refused to give in. Dao Tu didn't want to enter, but he had to stand with Yan at this time, and secretly made up his mind that he would never do a mission with him again next time. Yan and Magellan confronted each other, and neither of them gave an inch, and even a faint aura of terror broke out. Finally, Yan said to Magellan seriously, Fire Fist Ace is involved in the Navy's big plan, and he involves many people. Magellan, you must ensure that he enters level 6, in a single room, and cannot come into contact with anyone. And his identity may cause the Whitebeard pirates to attack at any time. I hope you will investigate yourself inside Advancing City. Some dangerous prisoners should be dealt with in the near future. Yan finally finished speaking meaningfully, handed Ace over to Magellan, and led the others away. Magellan didn't take Yan's last words to heart. In recognition of his own combat effectiveness, especially in an environment like Impel Down City, he didn't think anything would happen. I don't think anyone can defeat him or escape from his hands. Since he took over Impel Down, no prisoner has ever successfully escaped. On the way back to the warship, Yan called the Warring States phone number. Fire Fist Ace has been handed over to Magellan. I suggest that Magellan execute a group of terrible criminals. Yan's serious look stunned Senguo. Is this guy still serious? Why? The Warring States period was confused. Criminals in the city could not be executed at will. Many of them had eaten devil fruits and were all fruit-capable users. Once they were executed, those fruits would be reborn on the other side of the sea, and they might be killed by evil again. People eat it. In this case, it is better to stay in the city. I suspect Whitebeard might attack Impel Down. Warring States was silent, then slowly said, "Come back, don't worry about this, I'm ready." Yan nodded and said that it meant he had tried his best, and the rest was up to the leader to decide. By the way, Blackbeard has become a Shishibukai. The world government has completed the procedures. You can see it at the next Shishibukai meeting. Yan's pupils shrank sharply. Did that guy still become a Kibutai? Where is his backbone as a pirate? The world government hung up on him more than a dozen times, but he still persisted in dialing. Didn't he feel ashamed? Bah, what a spineless man! Despise it. Then I suggest executing a group of criminals. I think Blackbeard has evil intentions. He may want to use the prisoners who are advancing into the city as companions. Yan said directly. Warring States frowned. What does this mean? Yan's brain was running wildly. Although we hate to admit it, we must be clear that using the pirates who are advancing in the city as companions is the fastest way to build a group of 4 emperors. And they are all profit-driven beings. Sengoku frowned. If we push back from this angle, everything will make sense. Blackbeard said that he became a Shishibukai to prevent being beaten to death by Whitebeard and to find a backer. But Warring States knows that with Whitebeard's character, he doesn't care who you are and will definitely beat you to death if he wants to. So, he has a problem. He has big problems. If Yan's inference is applied again, then the reason why he took the initiative to find Kibukai seems to be explained. Yan, come back immediately, and bring Peach Rabbit back. The Warring States period decisively gave the order. Blackbeard. Push forward the city. Malinfando, in the marshal's office, Sengoku looked seriously at the 3 people sitting opposite him. You all heard it, right? How accurate do you think Yan's guess is? Crane, Garp, and Ching Pheasant looked serious. The 3 of them also realized the problem. Crane's eyes flashed with a shrewd light, and he whispered, hiding for more than 20 years, just for a fruit, and then turning around and jumping out, this proves that he has ambitions and greater ambitions. If you take into account his age and the crazy level of his ambition, then Yan's guess may be true. We just need to be on guard. Next to them, King Z and Garp were deep in thought, not knowing what they were thinking. Zenguo rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming from him. Please contact those folk experts we have paid attention to before. Garp and Aoki looked puzzled. What is going on? Warring States nodded to he, and he explained, after learning about Yan's situation, we paid attention to some hidden masters around the world, paying attention to their situations and personalities, and recruiting them. Chapter 58 New Mission. Garp and Aoki were silent. A folk expert. Who hasn't met a few unknown masters when performing tasks? Want to enable them? Ching Pheasant's voice was already filled with heaviness. For him, he still has doubts about using those people. Warring States shook his head. No, this is wartime and no one can be trusted except our own people. Garp laughed loudly at this. That's right, that's right. The 3 of them left, and Crane and Garp walked together. King Z left quickly as if he knew what the 2 were going to discuss. He looked at the tall, muscular man next to him, who was still oppressive despite his white hair, and sighed softly, there is nothing we can do about Ace's matter. Garp stopped and looked through the window in the corridor at the warships that were slowly entering the Gate of Justice. He said softly, a man should be responsible for the path he chooses. He shook his head and left quickly. Garp looked at the 10 Rings warship coming in and clenched his fists. He sighed secretly and turned away. On the warship, Yan felt a vague murderous aura from the moment he entered the Gate of Justice. Keep staring in the direction of the headquarters building. Mahler. Exist. Marshal Warring States, give me the phone bug. Yan felt a little bad. Even if he wanted to die before, he would never really die. This time, he really didn't dare to move forward. I got the phone bug, dialed the Warring States number, and said nervously. Marshal, do you have any missions you want to perform? I think I need to leave the headquarters for a while and come back when the war comes. Warring States, who was in front of the office window, used his superpower to see the 10 Commandments warship, and said helplessly, why? I'm afraid Lieutenant General Garp will hammer me to death. I will protect you. I'm sorry, I don't believe our relationship can compare to your 2 decades of comrades in arms who have lived and died together. Yuan's straightforward words made Warring States a little unable to take it. After a moment of silence, he slowly said, I am going to send Garp to guard Impel Down City. Yuan was shocked. Aren't you afraid that the Straw Hat Boy will rob the prison after seeing the news, and then Lieutenant General Garp will let him go, and Magellan will be even more difficult to perform? You are trying to trick Magellan to death and give him a negative buff. Magellan didn't offend you, right? You actually want to trick him like this? Yuan felt that Warring States had senile dementia, and you shouldn't keep control of Garp by your side. I don't feel at ease wherever I go. Sengoku's face remained expressionless, without any change, and he continued, go to Moria's place and pick him up to Marigio to prepare for the upcoming Shishibukai conference. And the Straw Hat Kid's next stop after leaving the capital of Seven Waters is him. The world government has also ordered him to capture the Straw Hat Kid. It is inevitable that the two of them will collide. I'm worried that Moria will not be able to defeat the Straw Hat if he is careless. After getting the task, Yuan breathed a sigh of relief, hung up the phone and looked at Dao Tu next to him. Senior sister, I don't recommend you to go back. Do you want to come with me to pick up Maria? Dao Tu shook his head, no, I have other things to do, which are related to my own strength. I have to go back to my headquarters first. After saying that, he left directly with moon steps, moving very quickly. Yuan breathed a sigh of relief, it was good that she left. 10 minutes later, Garp arrived at the port with a gloomy look on his face. The surrounding navy were too frightened by his low pressure to come forward and talk to him. 2 hours later, Garp's anger had subsided a lot, but he still hadn't waited for the person he wanted to wait for. His mood became even worse, so he called for the general on duty at the port. Where's Yuan? The colonel on duty today nervously replied. Major General Yuan received a call from Marshal Warring States when he was approaching and left quickly. Garp was holding a mouthful of old blood in his chest. Mad, he just wanted to blow his mind, but why was it so difficult? Damn the Warring States period, he is indeed a wise general. He plots against me one after another. However, Sengoku, since you dare to scheme against me, don't blame me for being ruthless. Eating your senbei and drinking up all your good tea. Garp went straight to Marshal Sengoku's office angrily. Not far from Yuan's departure from the Navy headquarters, Mahler found Yuan. It's time to replenish supplies. Headache. Find a nearby island or headquarters, and let's go replenish supplies. Catherine came over confused, wondering why Yuan didn't replenish the supplies, so she hurriedly left the headquarters. Afraid of getting beaten. Lieutenant General Garp is a sweet-tempered man. I'm afraid he'll beat me up when he gets angry. Very direct answer. Lieutenant General Garp is not an ignorant person. In Catherine's memory, Garp was unreliable in small things, but very reliable in big things, suppressing the Navy bosses of the previous era. But the grandson he has raised for more than years is about to die. Why don't you allow him to be angry? This answer made Catherine speechless and choked, and it made sense. Not to mention just hitting Yuan once, even hitting him 3 times, Yuan would have to suffer. When Yuan was about to continue chatting, the phone in his arms rang. He frowned and walked back to his room. It was a call from Long. Baldigo. Long sat on the chair with a tired look on his face. Something happened. Our revolutionary soldiers in the Kingdom of Amara lost contact collectively in the first half of the Grand Route. You should find a way to investigate. After saying that, Long hung up the phone. This was the advantage of having a traitor in Baidao. Some things were inconvenient for them to investigate, but it was much more convenient for Yuan. Not long after, Wu Liaoxing called. Something happened in the Kingdom of Amara. You go and solve it. Kong will contact you later and tell you what happened in the Kingdom of Amara. Wu Liaoxing's voice was full of anger. Yuan knew that things were serious this time. Marshal Sengoku asked me to pick up Moria to attend the Shishibukai conference. There was a bang, the sound of a cane hitting the ground. We will send bears there in Moria, and you go and deal with Amara's matter. Okay, no problem. The man on the other side did not hide his anger at all, so he had better be careful. Don't piss off 5 menopausal old men. However, before hanging up the phone, Yuan couldn't help but said, Lu Sun said, drinking more hot water can delay menopausal irritability. I think you can try it. Roll. More rage. Yan shrugged and sighed helplessly, menopausal people are really scary. No joke at all. On the other side, Wuliaoxing clenched his fists. Are we crazy to put our hope in him? The bald five-old star looked angry. The rest of the people were also full of anger. His fruit involves darkness, so it's just right to try to deal with Amara's matter. At least with his strength, he can rescue members of the royal family. The rest nodded. Rescuing the royal family members can give an account to other participating countries, and that is enough. Yan happily changed direction and headed to the kingdom of Amala. And his joy lasted until the CP personnel sent by Kong arrived. Hello Major General Yan, I am Fitz from CP8. I am here to assist you on the orders of Marshal Kong. Fitz, a young man with one red eye and one blue eye, is very evil. The fruit he ate is an animal bird fruit, in the form of an eagle. Flying all the way here. The moment Yan saw him falling from the sky, he felt that this man was capable. When you see his strange eyes and polite manner, you know that he is not a normal person. CP is polite and not proud, so he is definitely not a normal person. Chapter 59 The Disliked Yan. The members of the 10 Commandments detachment all stared at Fitz with vigilance. As long as it was from the CP, there were no good people and they needed to be careful. Especially this guy falling from the sky. Arwen stepped forward seriously and looked face to face with Fitz, who was wearing a gentle smile. For a moment, Fitz's heart beat as to what he was going to do. First, you are not here to assist me, but to contribute to the world government. Second, you are not following the orders of Marshal Kong, but of Commander-in-Chief Kong of the entire army, and the order of the world government. Please be careful with your words, otherwise I may charge you with a bad influence. Yan said impassionedly. Fitz's smile gradually stiffened. That's it, that's it. Is that why you have such a serious look on your face? How careful are you? Are you afraid that I will sue you? Although I do. Okay, thank you Major General Yan for your guidance. Although he was full of complaints that needed to be vented, Fitz still used a dedicated attitude to explain the affairs of the Kingdom of Amara. The warship was sailing on the sea, and the combatants of the detachment were on duty in batches under the leadership of Catherine, Mahler, and Renault, ready to break through the huge waves and kill the sea beasts that suddenly emerged. The weather on the Grand Line is constantly changing, and terrifying sea beasts may appear at any time. The best way is to ride the wind and waves and crush them. In the warship, Arwen poured Fitz a cup of hot tea, and the two sat face to face. Fitz was a little flattered. It was true that he had cooperated with other Marines before, but this was the first one to be so polite as he was now. Ever since Sora took over their CP, everyone has become more cautious. Of course, they also found that their backs were a little stiffer. The Navy's attitude towards them has also become better, and there are more opportunities for cooperation with the Navy. Let's talk about the Kingdom of Amara. The tasks that require the help of our Navy, I only remember artillery support, which requires artillery coverage and the destruction of an entire kingdom. Yan sat down and joked. Fitz coughed twice. Although he didn't want to admit it, it was really like that. Like destroying O'Hara. Fitz quickly explained, this time is similar to this. But we still have to find a way to rescue the citizens and nobles of the Kingdom of Amara. Yan became interested. It's very interesting that CP actually said something like rescue. Come on, I won't be sleepy in an instant, and I will be in high spirits in an instant. Fitz said slowly. The Kingdom of Amara is one of the 20 earliest countries to join the world government. This kingdom alone occupies a huge island. It also has the technology to mine iron ore on the seabed. It has the #1 steel forging technology in the world government. It is a member of the world government. A big weapons supplier, very rich. And the population is as high as hundreds of millions. Because of the existence of mining, everyone has a job and the quality of life is very high. It is truly an enviable big country. However, this country is closed to the outside world. Except for certain ports for foreign exchanges, the rest of the country is closed. The same goes for deals with world governments. But it is indeed a big country, rich and powerful. Fitz can clearly state that the generals in this country are truly lieutenant generals, and there are some other generals within. In addition, there is a church in their country, and the archbishop is also a master. The lieutenant admiral class can already move sideways in the first half of the Grand Line, but it can also be a big pirate in the second half. Then this country's national strength is pretty good. A month ago, they didn't hand over the steel production for that month as scheduled. We thought it was strange and sent people to investigate. That's when something strange happened. For 3 days, our intelligence personnel were completely unable to contact us. The government held the company accountable in an official way, and they responded that there was no problem. They also delivered the output on time. We blame ourselves for losing it. If you don't believe it, let us send personnel to inspect it. As a result, the inspector we sent also disappeared 3 days later. Everyone has disappeared, both openly and secretly. We don't know how to deal with it for a while. At this point, Fitz looked like he had seen a ghost. Jan doesn't know what to say. You don't know what to do, why are you looking for me? Fitz saw what Jan was thinking and smiled awkwardly. Everyone knows that you have the ability to be swallowed by darkness. You once swallowed a certain superhuman special ability. We feel that if your darkness is swallowed up, it won't be a big deal if you encounter any curse or strange abilities. Jan's eyes narrowed, and his mood began to feel low. He had not shown his ability to devour darkness a few times, but he could count them all. Generally, he used full counterattack and hellfire the most. CP's information was really all-pervasive, and Jan was not in a good mood. So you recommended me to the 5 Old Stars. The 5 Old Stars' request should have never been to solve the crisis in Amara, but to rescue the nobles and royal family inside and show it to other participating countries. The voice gradually became colder, and murderous intent began to fill the air. Fitz didn't care about all this, but continued, we did the recommendation, but Wulaoxing sincerely hopes that you can solve the Amara crisis. After all, that is the country of the first 20 kings, and it is the basis of the world government. At the same time, they are also really rich and capable, and they have few pirates. They are truly a high-quality country in the world government. The word rich made Jan understand. Arvin suddenly grinned and laughed, patting Fitz on the shoulder. Oh, don't be so serious. The problem is there. It must be extremely difficult. Let's solve it slowly. When the time comes, you will go in with me. I believe that your strength is not weak and you will definitely be able to solve the problem. Fitz responded with a wry smile, the force of the slap on his shoulder making him a little sore. Outside the ship, the Navy on duty felt that the warship was sinking rhythmically, and it was very scary. Major General, you don't need to test and threaten me like this. I will definitely go in. We CPS also need to show our ability to solve problems. Jan took back the hand that patted his shoulder with satisfaction. This kid can catch % of his power, so he has good strength. As expected, there are many masters hidden in CP. Jan never believed that Rob Lookie had the highest combat power in CP. There may not be many generals in CP, but at least 1 or 2 are in charge. In addition, elite lieutenant generals are also indispensable. There are 6 lieutenants in the Navy with apparent combat power. Can there be no CP? Joke. As soon as the warship sailed into the waters of the Kingdom of Amara, a cruising kingdom ship came to pick it up very quickly. A figure jumped over neatly. Entering Lydian, commander of the 3rd Legion of the Kingdom of Amara. Navy, please state your name and purpose of visit. A cold voice sounded, and Jan's eyes widened when he saw the person, with muscles that exploded like a devil. The thick muscles make people wonder whether this woman can easily cut off the lives of others. Swallowing, Jan quickly looked at Catherine. He was a better woman, with a well-proportioned figure. Lydian pointed the spear directly at Jan and scolded, "Man, put away your dirty eyes, I am the woman you can't get in this life." Puff. The Navy on the ship burst into laughter instantly. My boss is being disliked. Chapter 60, Strange Place. I let you look blind, you will suffer a loss this time. Catherine smiled and patted Jan on the shoulder. Jan, who was infinitely embarrassed, didn't dare to say anything. Fitz stepped forward and took the initiative to communicate, releasing their goodwill. When the female General Lydian heard the reason, she glared angrily and scolded, "How could the great kingdom of Amara break the contract? And every time, I personally hand over the contract." Jan frowned, "That would be interesting." Fitz was not angry even after being scolded, and said calmly, "Then I wonder if we can enter the waters of the kingdom of Amara, enter your kingdom, and personally take charge of a transaction." Jan stood behind, observing Lydian and the navy of the kingdom of Amara behind her. With their strong and powerful bodies, everyone has a strong aura. At a glance, they are more powerful than the soldiers of the kingdom of Alabasta. Jan chuckled. Being able to isolate the country and block the sea requires strong combat power. This country is very interesting. After Lydian used the phone bug to communicate with the king of the Kingdom of Amara, she allowed Yan and others to dock at the port and designated an exclusive area for activities. Entering the port of Amala Kingdom, Yan frowned. No one, no one. There are no staff in such a huge port. Even if the country is closed to the outside world, there should still be merchant ships from the outside world. But in the entire port, there was not a single merchant ship or a single staff member. Only the Kingdom of Amalar's own ships stayed in the port. A strange scene. Lydian personally arranged for everyone to rest and asked the soldiers to send various supplies. There was a little problem in the middle. A soldier quickly ran over and reported, "General Lydian, the materials stored at our port have rotted for some reason. We can only go to a city not far away to retrieve them." Lydian became angry instantly, and her muscles suddenly swelled, looking like they were going to explode. Damn profiteers! How come the external supplies that were just delivered 3 days ago are rotting now? This is obviously not of good quality. Catch the person responsible for quality inspection at the port and make him ready to take responsibility for this matter. Yan smiled behind him after hearing this. Fitz frowned, not knowing what he was thinking. Yan looked at the accommodation environment with interest. "Hey, angry female general over there, your cleaning skills are too bad." Yan casually rubbed his fingers on the footboard of the reception room, and a layer of dust appeared on his fingers. The muscles on Lydian's body swelled again. His mood became even worse, and he took a deep look at Yan. "It seems like I, the Chief of Coastal Defense and Border Customs, should personally inspect the people below. Sorry, we were the ones to be rude." Yan smiled, "It's up to you." After Lydian left, Arvin called for Mahler. "All the food they bring will be hidden later, and the chef will make the food we bring ourselves. If there is not enough food, we will ration it regularly." Mahler didn't understand, and Catherine was puzzled, what was going on? Fitz came to Yan and didn't quite understand. "Major General, did you discover anything?" Yan shook his head. "We haven't found the root cause yet, and we can't tell you yet. Since you can fly, why not you become an eagle tonight and go see all over this country?" After saying a word without thinking, Yan took Catherine to rest. Fitz muses, Mahler executes firmly. On the other side, the female General Lydian was sitting in the port warehouse and furious. The supplies purchased from the merchants 3 days ago are now all rotten. What is the reason for this? Also, why are the cities around us starting to run out of food and supplies? Why do all the cars in the dealership have aging parts? What's the reason and why? The muscles on Lydian's body began to swell again, and with her anger, her muscles swelled more and more. The terrifying scene frightened everyone below. As night falls, Fitz takes off his clothes in his room, changes into his animal form, and flies out of the window into the sky. Flying high in the sky, the eagle's vision allows him to easily see actions on the ground. Yan watched him fly out and smiled. In the early morning, Yan was awakened by the noise. There was a loud knock on the door. Yan was in a bad mood. "Sir, the Kingdom of Amara is holding a ritual to burn monsters. Whatever it is, don't disturb my sleep." Yan answered impatiently. "The one to be burned is Fitz." With this sentence, Yan was no longer sleepy instantly. Pushing Catherine next to her to wake up, they quickly got dressed. By the time Yavin came downstairs, Mahler and Renaud had already sorted out the navy and were ready to go. Go to the sacrificial place. Fitz's strength is not weak. If he can be caught, this means something bad. In the port square, people who could not be seen yesterday gathered here together today. On a huge cross, Fitz was nailed to it covered in blood. Miraculously, he was unconscious but still maintained his animal orc form. This is a very magical scene. A priest in white robes was giving a passionate speech. "Everyone, our food has disappeared and rotted inexplicably, our cars have rotted away inexplicably, and our firewood has inexplicably decreased. The root cause is a burglar. Into this thief from hell. It was this monster that stole it. Today, we will burn him and eradicate evil." The white-robed priest shouted loudly. "Just like 3 years ago, we burned monsters and drove away the plague. Monsters die, strange things disappear." The words of the white-robed priest made the gathered people applaud and shout loudly, "Burn him to death! Burn him! Burn him!" The light in their eyes was so genuine. Yan came over and looked at the raging fire. He really couldn't understand why there were still such ignorant people in this era. Chill covered. Catherine rose into the air, and a blast of cold air spurted out from her hands, instantly extinguishing the flames. Mahler rushed to the cross to free Fitz. Although he doesn't like CP, Fitz still needs to be saved, and this guy hasn't done anything disgusting. The Navy soldier automatically separated a path among the crowd. Jan came to the white-robed priest, slapped him to the ground with a big mouth, and said word by word. "You thief!" The opening shocked the onlookers for 30 years. The white-robed priest looked confused. "You suddenly rushed up and hit me suddenly. Why are you still scolding me? Do you know what you are doing? Do you know who I am? Do you know who my dad is? Do you believe it or not, I asked my father to define you as evil? Do you know who my father is? How dare you hit me? How dare you slander me? Believe it or not, I'll kill you." The white-robed priest's face was distorted after being beaten, and he lost his composure. Jan sneered and pointed at the Navy commander behind him. "I do not know. But I know I'm a Marine. I have done meritorious service for the Navy and shed blood for the government. Am I still afraid of you? Compared to the backstage, come on, who is afraid of whom?" Jan was not afraid at all. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more stories like this.